We might be live. Are we live? Quantumania is so good. Oh my god, I love it.
McLovin?
McLovin, yes.
I can't see it live at the moment.
It's because it's unlisted, but we are live.
It's always unlisted somehow.
I always start unlisted.
Yeah, boy.
It's not somehow, it's just because I prefer to start unlisted. And then I click on public when I
Just
want.
in case just in case Jeb drops like a hard R.
Yeah, and then I can restart the stream, and then that one will be monetized. But yeah, we're live. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
We're watching Quantumania today.
Yes, we're gonna watch a film today live on ECUM.
Yeah.
First time we've ever done that. You guys excited to rewatch that film? Jeb, last stream was the last stream? No, it was the one before. Right? Yeah, the one where you weren't here. You had just watched the film like a couple hours before. And I wanted to talk to you about it, but you ended up dying before the stream started. I want you to give your thoughts on Quantumania.
Oh boy, Quantumania. Ooh. Honestly.
What can be said? It's a masterpiece.
It is a masterpiece. Chat, if you're asking if the title was serious, please just like think for a second.
I'm gonna help you, chat. We are not fucking serious that this is a good film or
yes,
even a masterpiece. It's okay.
Other than MODOK, who we love with all our hearts, we don't like this film.
This film, I'd rather watch Doctor Strange 2 on repeat a lot of times.
I honestly would too, just because
Yeah.
that film like has a good soundtrack and like 2 scenes. It does have Wong. It has the Wonk pit, so that already wins. But it's like it's visually interesting, you know. Where Quantumania makes me want to die from the visuals. It reminds me of Green Lantern, the 2011 film, but somehow worse. It's insane.
I watched this film and I felt like, funnily enough, Chief, I was watching a CW movie. A lot of the time, it's actually kind of insane. Honestly, it gave me a headache. I was so tired because the problem with this film mainly, it doesn't understand how to not overload someone. There's like a million things going on at once. You got to try to process everything. Does it take a sec to go? Let's take a breather.
So you're telling me that what's happening in this film is everything, everywhere, all at once? Is that an accurate description of the film?
How is it that film that's actually about that and it's introducing people to mind-blowing concepts is much easier to process and enjoy, and it takes its time over this shit heap.
Well, it's interesting because the Daniels even said, I don't know which one of the two, but they said even that the Everything Everywhere All at Once, part of it was inspired by one of their diagnoses of ADHD, and so that's why the film's like super fast paced and the lack of like Evelyn being able to pay attention to things and whatnot. And I just find it interesting because a film like that I can follow much better than a film that is just non-stop things happening, which is like Quantumania and TROS, which this film's it made me think so much of Rise of Skywalker. They're so similar in some ways.
In that they're so good?
Yes, in that they're both amazing. So just hold on. There are people asking our thoughts on the James Gunn plans for the DCEU. We talked a little... Well, we had a stream before he announced everything where we discussed it a few streams ago. If you want to check that out, I think it was ECUM 62 maybe, or 61. And I think we did mention his plans in the beginning of the stream. Jab wasn't here, so 64. So if you're curious about our thoughts on that, go watch those. Anyway, Jab.
For me, who didn't give my thoughts on the plan, I'm really excited. I'm optimistic. It's a good start.
Yes.
But anyway, and this is meant to be the big, oh my god, we're introducing Kang properly, and I'm like,
Oh, they
It's
just
funny that
redid
this,
Loki.
yeah, and Thanos in 5 minutes intro in Infinity War is a million times better than the entirety of Kang in this film.
Well,
It's
Thanos
not
in
even an
Guardians of the
exaggeration.
Galaxy is so much better than he is in than Kang here. It's just so stupid.
It's the problem what they do in this film is they start at the peak and then they work their way down. Whereas Thanos, you start at the bottom of his power level and you work your way up. So the tensions essentially rise. Once you've already got him having a fighting chance at the top and you work your way down, there's no tension left.
Well, it's the kind of thing where like we established that Kang killed a bunch of Avengers, including Thor, but apparently he can't beat Scott. So I'm like, how am I supposed to take him seriously? Just because he says he killed the Avengers, I'm not gonna believe it because that just doesn't make sense with the character I've been watching for a while now.
My
You
fucking
see, he
man.
was
I'll let
he
you
was
go.
arrogant.
Oh, of course.
Oh yeah.
My
Yeah.
That's
my
why he
my
lost to
fucking
Scott.
my fucking man is a top tier strategist. He kills all those random fucking freedom fighters, but he sees specifically the people behind it, and he's like, "We're gonna tone down the lasers for them. It's okay."
I don't. It was just
I am not going to open a portal and see
Yeah.
myself out when an army of ants approaches me.
the
Bless you.
Sorry, it reminds me of that fucking stupid scene where it's like, "Oh, all you do is talk to ants," and they're like, "Oh, here's all our ants." I'm like, "Okay."
You know, if he actually left, he would look like a coward.
yeah.
He would look weak, coward, and moist. That's why he didn't save
I
himself.
was gonna
Basically,
make that reference, yeah, but he doesn't even use his telekinesis a bunch of times. The moment that annoyed me the most is the fact that he stops Janet with telekinesis in the present. When he's like, you're like Hank and Scott and Hope. They survived a bunch of years without you. They can survive. Let's see if they can survive down here or something. Or, when Hank's ship was crashed by MODOK and Hank somehow survived. And like he stopped her with his telekinesis. But earlier in the film, we had a flashback to when she was running away with his energy core for his ship, which is the one thing he cares about in the entire universe, is that energy core, so he can get out of the quantum realm. She was just running away with it, and he didn't stop her. And he had his powers by then. He even used like the blue energy beams, and he fucking he had a suit as well. So there's no reason to say he didn't have those fucking powers. It's just so stupid.
And there we fucking get into MODOK. My God, MODOK has an interesting premise in the sense that Darren Cross survived, due to the quantum
Somehow.
beings. Yeah, somehow.
Somehow,
And
Darren Cross returned.
he works for Kang. Now, for me, I would have had MODOK fucking survive and rebuild a society and the government and lead it. You know.
Hmm.
And then you can maybe incorporate that into Secret Wars with their entity. No, we'll just have MODOK go, my name's Darren Cross, I'm not a dick, die, and then go, oh, I died in Avenger, and you're always a brother to me, Scott, out of fucking nowhere. I don't understand. Like, they didn't even try. They just went, you know what? He looks goofy, we'll make him goofy. And then we also want him to be this big killing machine that's a threat.
Yeah, but except he
Such a
doesn't kill a
grudge.
single
He
person
doesn't
in the
kill a
entire film.
single person.
He fucking follows Cassie for like half of the third act, and he just doesn't do anything. He stops to talk like half the time. It is so
He
fucking
literally
stupid.
pulls a. He genuinely, literally
Says there's
pulls
nowhere to
a. There's nowhere to run,
Yeah.
and he doesn't kill her, even though that's his mission.
Oh man. Yeah. It's so fucking stupid. He's the mechanized organism designed only for killing, except he doesn't kill a single soul in the film. It's so bad. It's such a bad film. But yeah, then there's also the insane ideas about like the thousands of Kangs we see at the end, which is just like we invited every
Oh my
Kang,
God.
which was just like what? It's infinite universes. How the fuck do you invite every Kang? It's just I know that like the I was gonna say the Council of Ricks, the Council of Kangs or whatever it is. It's Council of Kangs, right? In the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's because it's just so much like Rick and Morty. I know it's a concept in the comics, but it seems so much like they're trying to do the Citadel from Rick and Morty, especially with the MCU hiring so many Rick and Morty writers, and it just tires me so much seeing so much shit being done so stupidly in this franchise, and Rick and Morty just doing these things and like effortlessly, kind of. It's just so backwards to me. I don't know.
It's
I would like to take a moment to say greetings to Camille Cunningham. Hello.
Hello.
so I watched this film. I'm like, what to be accomplished here? All we did was go terrorize things.
Holy shit.
Yeah, Jeb was cutting out. I changed to Rotterdam. Try again,
The
Jeb.
MODOK got to him.
Yeah.
He finally killed him. Someone.
Yeah. Jeb, are you here? His internet may have died. Remember when he said we wouldn't have Robot Jeb anymore? That he fixed his internet on what was it? 901? Was it that one? It was some Flash episode. Anyway, while Jeb comes back alive, I'm gonna read chat real quick. I felt bad for how Jonathan Majors was given to work with in this movie. Pathetic. If you want to watch a better new movie, it properly utilizes his talents. Watch Creed 3. I've heard Creed 3 is great, so I'm actually interested.
Can we just watch that on stream?
Yes, it's in theaters still, but I can get a cam copy, so don't worry.
Oh, hell yeah. Also, this message by Joshua. I don't know if it's a typo, but it made me laugh. What do you think of any man-child being a hero? Is it supposed to be Ant-Man's child being a hero?
I think that's what he means.
Or just any man-child?
I think it's Ant-Man child, but any man-child is kind of funny. I think as being a hero, he can do it well. Just watch Flash. Really. And he's a man-child, and he's a hero.
Did the region get changed or something?
I changed to Rotterdam while you were roboting because you were roboting a lot.
Yeah, that caused my Discord to have a shit fit. But as I was saying, like we wasted a lot of runtime just to establish a Council Kang, so now got to do their conquest, even though they already had Kang the Conqueror doing his conquest.
Yeah, but he died, so we're gonna get King the Conqueror the Second. King the Conqueror.
I'm just like, fuck's sake, I can't do this anymore.
It's so pointless because Quantumania exists to set up Kang, but it sets him up the same way that Loki did. It's like, oh, there's this one Kang, and if you kill him, the other Kangs are gonna destroy the multiverse. There's gonna be a multiversal war, so don't kill him. But also, if you do kill him, you're gonna help a lot of people. So it's like, oh, so let's kill him. Oh, but a multiversal war is coming. That's the end. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing as Loki. I don't understand what the point of this film was. Because it's not like the characters in the film get any development or something. The point was to be about Kang. But Kang, he serves the same purpose as He Who Remains did in Loki. And at least Jonathan Majors was funny in Loki. Like, to watch. He was, like, more, flamboyant or something, I guess. I don't know exactly how to say it. Maybe not flamboyant, just, like, upbeat. It was fun to watch him, like, walk around and say some dumb shit. In this film, he's just, like, so, like, I guess he's overacting, like he's showing too much emotion and not enough at the same time. Like, I don't think Jonathan Majors is a bad actor. I think the direction for Peyton Reed was shit, because he always looks like way too exaggerated with his emotions. So it's like, I just don't see the point of this film at all when it relates to Kang.
Like, it's funny that the leaks that quote leaks that came out ages ago that had Kang like escape, but Scott and Hope.
And then being trapped at the end with Cassie like trying to save them, that would have made that ending way better, because as it stands, it's just there's no stakes. Which is so funny because all three Ant-Man films break the stakes of their own films, like by doing something like that. The first film we have Ant-Man being like, oh, if you get trapped in the quantum realm, you're trapped forever, you can't get out, you're stuck. So it's like, oh, he's sacrificing himself to save Cassie, but he just gets out by using one of the embiggening discs, which I guess Janet didn't have. The second film is just like, oh, if we get Janet back, Ghost is gonna use her to, heal herself, which is gonna kill Janet. But Janet comes back and she heals Ghost and they're both fine. It's just, and then this film, which is just like, oh, if Scott stays to fight Kang, he's gonna be stuck in the quantum realm, but he'll at least have saved the world. But Cassie just opens a fucking portal 30 seconds after Scott and Hope are trapped in the quantum realm. So it's like, what were the stakes? Why was it supposed to be invested in this? It's not like Scott was like sacrificing anything. He could have just fucking grabbed Kang and like not let him run forward or something. It was just such a weird fucking moment.
And to think, we had Infinity War that, despite not being that well written, it had stakes all throughout.
Yeah, it doesn't undermine the fucking well, that's the kind of thing of Infinity War. It ups the stakes from anything else in the MCU because it's being like, you know, everyone dies at the end. The stakes are very high. Endgame kind of fucks that, but that film does help.
Again, you're not beating Thanos dragging Thor along, and then beating the shit out of Hulk, killing Loki, killing Heimdall.
Yeah, that's all in the first scene, man. That establishes a lot about the level of threat your character has. When you have a character that apparently like is the dictator of the quantum realm, but he's beaten by a Jello man, and a bunch of fucking ants, and fucking Scott Lang, I'm really not gonna take him seriously going forward.
The time dilation adds by 100
Oh my god,
years.
that was the worst fucking thing. It's like, oh, the ants happen to hit a time dilation, so they will live the million years in just a day. So that's why they're super intelligent, they can help us. It's definitely not a Deus Ex Machina. Oh, so stupid.
I was like, okay, I'm glad the ants got that far and then managed to evolve.
They evolved to a class 2 civilization, by the way. Chab, do you know what a class 2 civilization entails?
Yeah, it's fucking insane to even. I don't think they know what it meant.
Yeah, I think they just said something, but I'm gonna read it out because Chad, I don't think you understand. Okay, class.
ECUM stands for Educational Criticism Upon Media.
Yes, I mean it
Someone
doesn't
asked.
really stand for anything, but you can
That's
headcanon
what
it.
it stands for.
Sure.
You can no, the headcanon is you can swap the E word for something else too, like eccentric or elaborate,
Yes,
something
sure.
like that.
All right, Type 2 civilization can harness the power of their entire star, not merely transforming starlight into energy, but controlling the star. There are no stars in the quantum realm. You know, they're not in a solar system. How the fuck did they control a star? The ends, how the fuck did they control a star? Like, that's what Class 2 civilization entails. I just don't get it. Here, the most popular, several methods for this have been proposed, the most popular of which is the hypothetical Dyson sphere. This device, if you want to call it that, would encompass every single inch of the star, gathering most, if not all, of its energy output and transferring it to a planet for later use. Alternatively, if fusion power, the mechanism that powers stars, had been mastered by the race, a reactor on a truly immense scale could be used to satisfy their needs. Nearby gas giants can be utilized for their hydrogen, solely drained of life by an orbiting reactor. Nothing known to science could wipe out this Type 2 civilization. It's just like, oh, basically. And it's like, this annoys me because they're like, oh, they're super advanced. They're way more advanced than humans will be in thousands of years. But they took long to get there because, according to Hank, there's a lot of ants. Because I guess they needed a second wind. They needed their endgame portals moment with the ants. It's so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
We still barely even know what Kang's actual motives even are. To an extent we do, but to an extent we don't know why in particular they're so motivated by that.
Well, we know some of the Kangs. Well, we know He Who Remains, his motive was stopping a multiversal war and having peace in the multiverse. We know Kang the Conqueror just wants to conquer stuff, I guess. He wants to feel powerful.
What?
That's his character. And the other Kangs, they're just vibing, I guess. I don't know. They just want to control the multiverse. Like, we've established Kang twice, and we still don't know what the main Kang's things are. Oh, we got a super chat. everyone in the main cast is character assassinated for not telling anyone about Kang. Scott goes back to living a normal life without warning anyone. Yep, I agree.
Yep.
At the end, them not telling anyone is just one of the worst things I've ever seen. Just like fucking go to
It'll
the
be
Sanctum
fine,
Sanctorum and tell Doctor Strange, please.
Nah, it'll be fine. Leave him alone. He decided it's fine.
I also love how they all shit on Scott for wanting to live a normal life after being trapped in the fucking quantum realm for 5 years and saving the universe.
To be fair, it was only 5 hours. But yeah, I get what you mean. It's it's kind of weird to me because it's kind of like after he saved the multiverse, and he was the catalyst for saving the not the multiverse, the universe. After being the catalyst for saving, the universe, you'd think he could at least take a while, like just for himself. It's not like there are any new threats. It's like I was talking to Madvicat about this on our Lego streams, but I don't understand why the film thinks that Scott just won't he's not doing anything to help people when he's called to action. He will help people. If there's a big threat, there's another Thanos threat, he's definitely gonna go fight him. It's not like he's just gonna stand down. It's just that there isn't any threat for him to fight currently, so he's just chilling. And it's like the worst thing is he's not helping. Well, I'm pretty sure he helps Hope, who is trying to get affordable housing and food for people after the blip, which also is just one of the most inconsistent things because Cassie's like, I was helping this homeless person because the housing prices went up after the blip, and Hope doesn't say anything, even though the fucking opening monologue by Scott, where he's reading the book, he says that Hope is using the PIM particle with PIM tech to be like, hey, how about we being like, hey, we're gonna help people get affordable housing via the PIM particle, which doesn't make sense, but whatever. She doesn't have anything to say to Cassie about that. She doesn't have any input, being like, look, we're helping every way we can. You don't have to put yourself in danger or something. Because for some reason, Hope is on Cassie's side. I don't understand why she would be.
It's also Scott literally says he's trying to get back the years that he's missed.
Wait, what'd you say, John?
So, as I mentioned, Scott literally missed 5 years of society, 5 years of his family growing up and everything. He's trying to get them essentially back and make up for that lost time.
Yeah.
And they're all just like, you're doing nothing, you're useless, you're letting it run by. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I kind of wish. I now kind of wish that the movie was about the debunked rumor, the one that you made your video on, Sky, the character assassination for Ant-Man, where he lets all the fame go to his head and then he just ignores his family. I think I would have probably it would have been like the Spider-Man 3 of the Ant-Man trilogy. Because it's actually it might have actually been fun seeing Scott be bully
Bully Lang.
What's Bully Lang?
Bully Rudd. Yeah, it's Paul Rudd.
He goes to a comedy roast thing, starts roasting the shit out
of his daughter. I'm like, she was arrested last week. What a loser. Oh yeah, and someone mentioned in chat, Scott said if the Avengers call him, he will be there. Yeah, that's part of his book. I would assume he probably means it.
It's fucking insane to me that they're also mad at him, that he's mad that Cassie keeps going to prison and nothing being said to him. And I'm like, do you understand what his life was like and what he's trying to avoid for her?
Yeah, that's true. It's just so weird that they keep things from him. I think the original point the film was making was that he was neglecting, the one that I made my video on, and they kind of reshot it and reshuffled, re-edited it, so that wasn't the case, that Scott was neglecting Cassie. But if that was the case, it kind of feels like they kept some of it, and that's why that scene feels so weird that nobody's telling him. Because if he was neglecting his family, the fault would fall on him, and he's just blaming Hope because he's neglecting his daughter, and he's not trying. He doesn't want to blame himself, which I think makes some sense for it. If he was doing that, even though obviously it would be out of character for him. But the fact that they just don't tell him, and he seemingly does really care, and all he wants is to protect Cassie from the world in general. Like, he wants to just focus on Cassie and on Hope and just family in general. It just seems really weird for them to not tell him anything.
And then they tried to do a payoff with Hank reading the book, and I'm like, you'll just shout on him for talking about the book. So
Yeah.
I'm not. It's just embarrassing. And yeah, Sam, you're right. The trailer did give a false impression.
Oh yeah, the
that
trailer
Scott
was
was
extremely
gonna
false
pound
advertising.
Parker.
If Disney gets sued over it, I wouldn't be surprised, because it implies of the thing that was in the leaks as well, of like Kang being like, "Hey Scott, do you want to go to another timeline where we have another Cassie or something? You know, like do something with timelines and it have and manipulate Scott to working with him instead of just threatening him, which is way less interesting, which is what this film did. I assume there might be a plot point in a later film, and when they were editing this film, they were like, "Oh, let's cut that out because we don't want to like redo it." They didn't want to have it in an Ant-Man film. They kind of wanted to have a more interesting franchise, I imagine. But that's my only guess. Maybe Kang
It's
Dynasty will have that.
It would make lines like Kang, we had a deal, make much more sense than when he
Yes.
actually fucking says it.
Yeah, didn't you hate that line? Or was it
I just-
Bavik who did?
I
Or
despised
was you?
it. I got so mad.
Which
I was
one?
like, why the
We
fuck are you saying this?
Scott being like, "We had a deal" to Kang.
Oh yeah, that was it was probably Jeb. I don't
Yeah.
remember getting
It
mad
was
about it.
Yeah, so
it was me. I watched it and I was like, why the fuck are you saying we had a deal? Like, the fucking deal was,
It was a threat.
yeah, there was, and you didn't really uphold the deal anyway, my guy. So point bringing that in.
Oh yeah, he Wait, did he give the energy core to Kang or not? I think Hope was like, "No, don't give it," and he said, "No, I have to, otherwise Cassie will die." And then Janet shows up.
He was going to, and then he stopped by Hope and Janet because of knowing what Kang's really like,
Right.
and then Kang had enough.
Hey, that's enough. Anyway.
The only bit I was somewhat like, oh, this is interesting, was when they did the ant colony with all the Scots and having them all work together.
Oh, that was stupid as fuck. I hate that scene with all my
It-
heart. It's just ripping off Rick and
Jeez.
Morty in a terrible way because it doesn't understand. Like the Baskin Robbins version of Scott, it just doesn't make sense for it to exist for one. Because it's like if he's in a possibility storm, every time he does something, he creates a new possibility. It's based on his current state. You can't create a new possibility out of this Scott of something that would have happened like 10 years ago. It's just absurd. It just doesn't make sense. And all the Scots like freaking out, but the main one not. I don't understand what makes them different. They're all Scots. If they're all the same character, they would all act in character. The only possibility is like something slightly changing from that moment of like whether he stepped right or left or something like that. It's just stupid. It just doesn't make sense.
I think
The
you're
idea-
just smooth-brained. You didn't get it.
It's true. I think the idea of like all the Scots being like, "Oh yeah, we have something in common, which is that we want to get back to Cassie." It's like, "Oh sure," but then he doesn't reach it, so it's all pointless. And then Hope shows up, and then they just keep throwing a bunch of discs. It's like, wait, so are you not gonna do the payoff where every Scot helps each other to be able to get
No.
the thing? It's like, do we need to hope? Like all the possibilities like are sucked back into them. Why? You're doing the cool visual thing, which is a probability storm, which look like shit anyway because terrible green screen and CGI. But like, you could at least commit to the idea. Why did you have to like throw it away just to have Hope help Scott? It's just so stupid. I don't like that scene. I'm sorry, Jeb, but I disagree with you. So.
I was kind of talking visually.
Oh, I don't. I hate
and
it
like,
visually
and like
too.
conceptually.
The concept is kind of interesting. Jeb, you should watch Rick and Morty. First episode, season 2, does that exact same concept, but well. So.
Black.
No, I don't think there's any black characters. Well, actually, there are 2 characters played by Key and Pio in that episode. So,
Did
Hmm.
they get racially abused?
they didn't. They're aliens, so we don't actually see their race. I'm afraid.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
I know, right?
Very
People watching
upset.
this stream for the first time, because I noticed a few new people in chat. This is Jeb. You're gonna have to get used to him. It just happens.
He's
Okay?
got brain damage.
He does.
Yeah.
I'm not actually racist,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
so don't worry. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Anyway, so old friend of the
We're gonna
channel,
watch.
Griffin.
We're gonna watch best channel ever. Film Speak.
Yeah, Griffin from Film Speak made a video called Ant-Man 3 Deserves More Love. And the thumbnail was
No.
Kane, but it says good under. He changed the name of the video actually, because I'm pretty sure it was called
Ant-Man
something
3
else.
is actually good. I think that's
Yeah,
a common
I sent
title
the
that he uses.
screenshot to you, so I will check now, man. Okay, hold on. But yeah, this film not good. Griffin, also not the best YouTuber, but you know.
Pretty high up there, along with Cosmonaut.
Yeah. I'm in love with Cosmonaut. Yeah, I mean he's better than Cosmonaut, but that's not a high bar, you know. So
I wouldn't say Scott is super chill when he finds out his daughter's in prison.
no, he's not chill. He reprimands her. He's trying to be
Yeah.
like, no, you shouldn't do this shit. Who's chill is Hope. She's the one that annoys me in that scene.
Yeah, I hope someone that's all like super chill. Same for Hank and Janet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Also,
Because
someone mentioned.
they're not
Sorry.
directly related to her.
Yeah, that makes sense. I find it weird that Cassie calls Hank grandpa. It just seems odd to me.
It is very, very, very strange.
Yeah,
Have they
it just
actually
irks
had
me.
have they actually had screen time with each other prior?
No.
No, this
They've
is something
never
I
shared a
understand.
scene in
If like
previous
5-year-old
seasons.
Cassie had like a relationship with him,
Mhm.
but this is like teenager Cassie.
Yeah.
That's weird to just call some old man your grandpa
Yeah.
just because he's like the father of
Yeah, it would have
your
made
dad's
sense if
girlfriend.
Hank wasn't snapped, because then she would have spent like these 5 years with Hank probably, if like the rest of Cassie's family was
Oh
snapped.
yeah,
But he was. So she knew him from 2015 to 2016, which is Civil War. Then for 2 years there was nothing because Scott was in house arrest and Hope and Hank hated Scott, so they never talked for 2 years. And then they were snapped, and I guess they have had 2 years since the snap between Endgame and now in Quantumania. So I guess they've known each other for like 4 years during like 10 years of her life. So yeah, it is weird for her to call him grandpa.
I would have liked a Disney Plus show about just Hank and the little girl version of Cassie, like him raising her during the blip.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting idea. Which means they'll probably not do a what if that is actually that interesting. Maybe they will. They had one interesting episode, so maybe season 2 will get another good episode. But what did I want to say? Oh yeah, someone mentioned, because that person said XCon at the end of the message. XCon is the name of Scott's company, and I also find it weird how we just don't really talk about it in this film with like Luis and the gang. I know they, the actors didn't come back, but surely Scott would be like it would drive their business. Like it would be very good for their business if he, the fact he got famous and people would be like, yeah, hell yeah, I want Ant-Man to install security in my home, But they just kind of ignore the fact that he has a company with Luis. It's just very odd. It feels like this film just forgot like 80% of what happened prior.
Yep.
Alright, anyway, Griffin, he made a video. It's shit. Well, maybe it's good. Doubt it. Film is shit. So let's watch.
So what my
Oh,
bedroom
God.
sounds like every night.
Sure, man. Oh my god,
I know.
MODOKcast. We had MODOKcast on,
Yo,
on
let's
ECUM. Let's
go.
go. That advertisement for the first Ant-Man film is still the best promo they ever did. It's just Michael
Yes.
Douglas and Paul Rudd be like, ants, Ant-Man. I use it a lot for visuals in my first Ant-Man video just because it's so funny. But yeah, I like the advertisement for the first Ant-Man film is really good. The marketing campaign.
Oh, guys, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. That messy as all hell nightmare start to Phase 5.
Yes.
That's the post-Endgame MCU film I'm gonna jump on the love train for. Well, yeah, I
I I already know what he's gonna talk about to defend this film. It's gonna be like, this film has so much heart because it's at its core, it's a story about family with Scott and his daughter, and them
Yay.
reconnecting, and Scott relearning the value of helping people, something he forgot after letting the fame go to his head. I'm certain this is gonna be what he said. To be fair, I've tried to predict Griffin videos before. He's kind of a wild card because he has the weirdest takes. He doesn't have a consistent oh, he likes art films. He likes, certain type of film. He just likes things and dislikes things. It's
Yeah.
it's
You're being bad faith by saying that he's probably going to talk about those things.
yeah.
We don't know yet.
Yeah, he's a wild card. He might
You
talk
have
about
a
something
good point.
completely unrelated. Maybe he's just gonna praise MODOK for the 31 minutes.
I mean, that's the only thing to praise really about the movie.
Yes. No, he already had the best frame in the film, which is MODOK has, so it's all downhill from here.
love the first two Ant-Man films. Hell, you could probably say that I have an ant bias for these movies.
And I have an ant bias against these movies.
Ant bias.
Yeah. I'm the anti Ant-Man person covering the video of the most positive Ant-Man fan on the internet. I feel like this is like a clash for the ages. But I remember when I was posting my video, the part 1, and Neb was like, he sent me a screenshot of a community post Griffin made, which is him saying, "Oh, coming next week," and it's a video talking about the first Ant-Man film, where the thumbnail just said "masterpiece." I'm like, "Oh, fuck off!" I think I sent a screenshot to Advocate, right, of that thumbnail, which is so funny.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at the images right now.
Yeah,
You can keep playing it, but I gotta see this. I gotta remember.
yeah.
You've been a FilmSpeak subscriber for, I don't know, any amount of time, you probably know this. I think it's the most optimistic, hopeful, and progressive series of films.
Jeez.
What?
Why?
Let's progress. Ant-Man and the Wasp is the film that has hope be the least characterful character. She's not a character in the second film. That's the point I want to make.
Characterful character.
Yes.
How
No, I
is-
just want to say she's not a character in the second film. She's relegated to just being the love interest. In both films, to be fair. Well, in 3 films. All 3 films. But the first one, at least, had her have something relating to her father.
Do we just forget Captain America trilogy exists and Captain America fundamentally changes his outlook?
I'm sure. Most progressive. I mean, Eternals, I guess, but it's only one film. And to be fair, he didn't like Eternals. So.
Wait, Sky, the thumbnail you sent me was about the first Ant-Man.
Yeah,
the
that's
one
what
that
I'm
Griffin
saying.
made.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what,
is
no,
that
no.
what you
I
said?
said
Yeah,
that.
that's the one I just mentioned. Yeah.
I kind of ignored you until I heard my name.
That's fine. That tends to happen with me. Yeah.
I'd argue
Damn.
Ant-Man's the fucking least progressive, and then it's Spider-Man. Which is wild to say Spider-Man, but there we go.
No, surely not the least progressive. It has an ex-con as a main character trying to regain his life.
Rehab.
Well,
Mhm.
if we have to break it down, if we go film series in the MCU, which is what he said, we've got Tony Stark, Thor, Captain America, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. Is
Surely
there anyone else?
Thor would be more progressive considering Ragnarok and
Yeah.
Love and Thunder are very, and you have a lot of the idea of Thor is breaking out of traditionalism and roles imposed onto you. That's just the main idea I feel of the Thor franchise. So
Yeah, so you can't say Thor, you definitely can't say Captain America, you can't say Iron Man. I don't know if you could say Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange he learns an entirely new worldview and adapts to that. He's fundamentally different.
I, because I'm trying to see what he means in terms of progressive. Because like all I think he means just there's a main female character, which is just she's not even a character, so I would not, I wouldn't count it.
Oh, Guardians is a film series, but Guardians had actually the most progression. Has a lot
Oh yeah, our
actually.
Guardians is definitely the most progressive, just by virtue of it being an ensemble with extremely varied characters and different backgrounds and whatnot. Plus it's James Gunn, so
Yeah, I guess only Spider-Man involves it because Peter doesn't change all that much compared to what he
I mean
should have.
he learned the lesson he already knew by Civil War is the lesson he learns in his own 3 films.
Yeah.
It's not like his views are challenged, and it's not like the Spider-Man films have any like focus on any like big minority thing or like political ideas. It's just that trilogy is very shallow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Ant-Man is a very progressive uh franchise. I actually think it's not progressive at all with the way he treats Hope. I think it's insulting the way he treats Hope, honestly.
But you see, they put Wasp in the title for the second and third movie.
True. She's so much of a character in the third movie. Madvika, can you quote her a line from her in the third film from Quantumania?
Why, yes, I can. Scott. I'm certain she said Scott at
She
some
probably
point.
did. Yeah, that's true. Well done, Madvika. Spider-Man films have no reason to exist. What would change if they don't exist? We wouldn't have people on Twitter claiming that No Way Home is one of the greatest films ever made. So that's the one thing that would change. Anyway, one of the most progressive series in the
In the
MCU.
entire MCU, films which, under Peyton Reed, have not only been some of the more director-driven entries.
What?
Director driven.
Imagine
Are
saying
you
Ant-Man and the
fucking
Wasp
kidding
is
me?
They're so director driven that they fired Edgar Wright for the first film because he was too
fucking
creative.
Edgar Wright stepped out.
Are you kidding me, Griffin? Are you fucking? No way. No, I was gonna say surely this is a parody video, but April Fool's is like a month away. There's no way. There's no way.
Do they understand James Gunn exists? And like, what the hell?
Oh
can you-
man.
How can you watch the 2 Guardians films and then watch all 3 Ant-Man films and go, that one's more director driven?
I just
That one right there.
The first 2 Iron Man films are like hundreds of times more direction driven than any Ant-Man film. Like the first one, it at least has somewhat of an identity with the Louise scenes, and it kind of has like a different color grading and lighting than other MCU films, which is just like the bare minimum. But like when you look at something like Eternals or the Guardians films or fucking even the first 2 Avengers films, they're way more director focused.
I'd argue even like Winter Soldier, Civil War, obviously more director driven.
I'd
Even
say Winter Soldier more so than Civil War, but yeah.
I prefer Watts over fucking Reed. Watts is more director driven than Reed.
Well, he had an interesting use of the Snorri cam in No Way Home when Peter has the Spidey sense. So it's more creative than anything Peyton Reed did in Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania. So
Right, stop laughing at him. I want to hear how he's going to back up his points. We
Is
haven't
he
heard them
actually
yet.
going to?
He just stated it's most director driven, but I want to know why now.
Oh, we got
He could
another
have some
half
good points.
hour.
yes,
Oh.
it's a half.
Yeah, so shut up,
It's a
Jeb.
30-minute video, Jeb. Yeah.
But which have embraced the weird and quirky.
The second film is the
You're-
opposite of that. Because the first film, I
You're-
kind of get it. I kind of like the idea of there being so many shots of seeing them small compared to like small things. The train toy fight is stupid considering the rules of the film, but I like the creativity surrounding it. I think it's a neat idea to have them fighting in like a little girl's room and like having toys be part of the battle. I think it's creative. I think it's fun. And it has some cool shots like that. I don't attribute any of that to Peyton Reed. I assume that's part of Edgar Wright's original script because a lot of it was kept in this film, as Joe Cornish has said a few times. The second film just doesn't have any of it. I'm trying to remember. I think there are like a handful of shots of like characters being small, and I think most of them are them inside vehicles. I very much don't remember like, you know, seeing it scene like this where the camera's focusing on like, you know, an ant-sized yellow jacket with a train going towards him. You know, I think it's just like during the car chase there are a few shots of like small things, but I don't remember any of the any shots like really focusing on the action when they're small, as the first film does. And the third film just completely neglects it. I don't think there's a single shot of them small in that film, like a close-up of them small. So much so that Quantumania forgets the rule the first film established about the punches being as strong as bullets, because for some reason Scott is like, oh yeah, jump and tap, Cassie, you know, because you jump when you're small and then you grow bigger so that you can punch people harder. It's like, no, when you're small, your punches are super hard. That was established in the first film, and the second film kind of keeps consistent with it. Well, the first film didn't already, but you know, that's still that idea that's like been present, and now I guess they're just not strong anymore. It's so stupid.
This is how director-driven pay-to-read is. Rather than show fighting from the perspective of Scott and such, like in this shot, instead we just have, you know, them punch whilst enlarging.
Yeah, we just see we just see a regular like, medium close-up. Of like the people they're punching, like their perspective, like it's stupid. But yeah, someone mentioned the Wasp running in the kitchen and shit. Yeah, that's what the one scene I can remember as well. There's that moment where she dodges a knife while flying and whatnot. That scene is stupid. Like, Wasp is fucking retarded. But yes, it does fit what I'm saying in terms of like actually having at least the character being small, and we're focusing on their perspective of being small and using a little creativity from that. So that's nice.
Oh yeah.
But that was ripped off from Ratatouille, so doesn't get a point.
Black Panther films exist. I forgot about them. Yeah, they're more director driven. They're 100% Ryan Coogler's vision.
I wouldn't say. I'd say Wakanda Forever kind of feels like there's a Marvel film for 2 hours, and the beginning and end of the film are like Ryan Coogler. They don't feel very director driven. You could say they're progressive in the sense of, but like being like a huge black superhero film focusing on black people's issues, black culture, you know, African culture and shit like that. Which is the other point that Griffin made, but I don't think it would fall exactly under that, because there's a lot of issues in terms of like the politics in both films, especially Wakanda Forever. So
yeah, they should have started World War 3 about 10 times.
Yeah, they kind of did, and the film is just like, no, they did, don't worry about it. Anyway. Even though they're okay for Multiverse of Madness, it felt like a Sam Raimi film. You did? Oh yeah, the Doctor Strange films both I think are way more director driven than anything the MCU. In the Ant-Man films. Despite the fact that Multiverse of Madness is definitely a Marvel film, you can tell it was directed by Raimi. It's not as good as his directing in like Army of Darkness or Evil Dead or something like that. You know, the Spider-Man films, but you can tell it's Raimi, so definitely more director driven. And the first one is fucking Scott Derrickson's vision. You can tell a lot of creativity went into that from his perspective, and he had a very interesting idea what he wanted to do with the film. So yeah.
I mean, a lot of the MCU is inherently silly. A lot of comic books are inherently silly, and that's okay, that's fun. But Ant-Man in particular feels like the silliest concept for a superhero, one whose power is, I can shrink and resize myself basically at will in an instant. As I mentioned in my video on the first
the way you described that doesn't make it sound silly.
Yeah, and you can't really attribute that to the director. Like, you can't give props to the director for being like, oh, that this is his superpower, and you know, he uses it.
It's just the idea of the film.
Yeah,
it's silly in itself. What I think the point would have been like more Peyton Reed uses it himself, which I guess we need to watch his video on the first film to know, which we're not gonna do today. if I ever watch that video, it'll probably be on my own or drag Madvika during one of our Lego streams and be like, "Hey, you want to check out Griffin video?" But I doubt I'm ever gonna watch it today. It just feels weird to say Peyton Reed is one of the more creative and one of the more one of the people who makes the more director-driven films in the MCU when it's obviously the opposite and everyone can tell it's the opposite. But anyway, Jab, you were gonna say something?
It's also like I feel like the MCU until I guess this one, I don't know. It always took the fact that people scoffed at man's powers and then basically went, well, you're wrong for scoffing at that. So like the Falcon fight, for example, he underestimates Ant-Man, gets the shit beaten out of him. Same in Civil War where he's one of the key players. I don't feel like the MCU was trying to make Ant-Man quote unquote silly until now, really.
But for
Shit,
the
I
wrong
was
reasons.
I was muted. I make a point of this in my second video about Scott being Flanderized, but they make him a silly character because they want him to be like MCU funny guy. He's just stupid, Even though he's extremely smart, he has a master's in electrical engineering. He fucking breaks into Hank's house with his ingenuity. He does a lot of very smart things throughout his throughout the first film, and then the second film he's just like supposed to be the funny, goofy guy. Not entirely, but still, he already is way more. In Civil War, he was already a bit, and in Quantumania, it's just like he's just funny, silly guy. He doesn't seem like a character anymore. He's just the goofy.
Does he not use any of his skills in this movie?
Don't think so, no, because Cassie's the one that builds the machine, and then they just go down, and then he.
Oh.
Yeah, and then all he does in this
sense.
film is to jump into the energy core, and then he fights Kang. So yeah, he truly doesn't use any of his like ingenuity in this film, like at all. Which would have been interesting because you know how when Cassie's gonna free like the leader of those rebels, and she fucking bashes one of the robots' heads in the into like the scanner or something, and it opens the cell door.
Oh fuck!
Imagine if instead of doing that, she tried to actually hack into that panel, and she'd be like, "Oh, I learned this from my dad because he's hacked a lot of things like that to break into places. Like that is in his character. It would be cool if she like inherited something from her dad or something like that.
Connect
like
them a little more.
Yeah, and then you actually don't make Scott out to be the most retarded person in the film for some reason.
Yeah, you bringing up that he had a electrical engineering degree, like. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
Now that I think of it, I'm like, I guess when I was watching Quantumania, the only characterization I had for Scott was, oh, he's just a normal dude.
Yep, they kind of wanted to make him like the MCU everyman. Like, he doesn't have, that many abilities or anything, but, he's doing his best, which is
but
like,
he
that's
does.
Yeah, they kind of forget his abilities, which I think is because his abilities tied in more with the idea Edgar Wright had for the film, but whatever.
I don't think they make him stupid in Civil War. Like,
I think they make him. I don't know if I'd say stupid, but it's kind of like I said in my video. It's just like, oh, he's the silly guy. Like they say, oh, if we do this work, you're a criminal. It says, what else is new? Instead of actually having any character to speak of, like an argument to be like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe I shouldn't do this. Any scene to show that he's actually a character, not just accepting to do something that'll put him and his family in danger, and the Hope and Hank.
It would have been cool. Well, hold on, let me think of the other characters on Team Cap, because like right now I'm thinking like, what if the area where the Quinjet was, like it had like a gate that was closed, and they recruit Scott so that they can help him like hack into it and
that would have been
unlock
cool.
it to open it up.
Yeah, it could have been cool. He uses his ability to go small to like squeeze through the gate, right? He gets on the other side, he hacks it from the inside, and that's how they manage to fly away or something while the others are fighting. And then Scott doesn't really get involved with the fight itself until like a moment where it's necessary, like I said in my video, like he maybe needs to save someone's life or something, just so you have a bit of character. Like he wants to stay stealthy so that he doesn't put himself in danger of not seeing his daughter again. But there's a moment where, you know, he needs to save someone, and he values their life. He's a good person, so you actually characterize him through his actions. That would be cool.
I'm not denying that they devolve his character, but there's a difference between devolving and stupid. They're not inherently intertwined.
Yeah, I don't think he's stupid. I just think he's not. They don't think he's a character. They just think he's a goofy, like, oh, Ant-Man. Like they don't take him seriously in that film. But he doesn't act stupidly in it, even though there are a lot of silly jokes from him that I don't really love. But it's whatever. It's just jokes. It's.
Ant-Man movie, there's something inherently playful and childlike about the idea of shrinking, bringing
Playful and childlike. Interesting.
The idea of
That's how you describe shrinking.
What?
Because you're like small like a child, I guess.
But he's way smaller than a child. He's like the size of an ant.
Well,
It's kind of the...
no, I know, but it's like maybe he's thinking about like the saying, or I guess it's not a saying, but like when you're a kid, everything seems so much bigger than you.
Full and childlike about the idea of shrinking, bringing forth the idea of kids with their toys. It's light, breezy, action-packed, and most importantly, fun.
I have no idea what he just said. I think if you ask Griffin what he just meant, he wouldn't be able to tell you.
he'd be like, I don't remember.
I don't know, man.
So is he legit just praising the shot of a child getting a toy?
Yes,
I think he's not praising it. I think he's comparing it. He's just using it as a visual, being like, oh, you know, like getting small, that's playful and childlike, like getting a toy. You know, it's fun. It's lighthearted. I think that's what he meant. Anyway, he throws a gas truck at Rhodey and says, I thought it was a water tank. I'd say that's kind of dumb. What do you think, Jeb? Do you agree?
Not necessarily. Like, I need the shot of the fucking the gas truck when it's enlarged to see if it's obviously a gas truck. However, Scott would then notice it's a gas truck instead.
Well, I can get it for you, actually. Hold on, I have. Let me open the film.
Yeah, because like it needs to be obvious to someone who's not, you know, handling water or gas vehicles to be something stupid.
All right, it's around here where they fight.
I don't deny it's for comedy though. It obviously fucking is for comedy.
Yeah, like most of the film. Okay.
Wasn't the last video we covered by Griffin like 16 minutes long?
Well, I'm not sure. Why do you ask?
How is this one 30? Because I'm genuinely curious how he's gonna fill up the whole runtime with praise.
Oh, it's Griffin, man. I know him too well. I know he can do it. He just says shit. Okay, hold on, Jeb. Do you have the stream open? Can you so you can see my screen?
Yeah.
All right, I'm showing it now. This is the truck when it's enlarged. It's gonna hit Rhodey here. I'm not exactly sure what the difference between this and a water truck would be. And then let me get the shot of him giving it to Cap here. There's apparently something written on it.
I will wait for the stream to properly catch up.
Oh,
I can see the truck.
I just realized I had the wrong one open. Hold on. Here we go. Here we go. So there's the truck in Cap's hand. I think this is the best shot we're gonna get of it. Can rewind to see if there's another better one, but I don't think so. No, yeah, he throws it to Cap. Yeah, so that's the best shot we're gonna get.
And we don't know how much of a clear view Scott got. He's just acting in the moment, which, you know, is in character for Scott. I can't 100%. We can't definitively say he's being stupid. If we're gonna still man the film, it's just a comedy moment.
Yeah, I think it's just silly. I think what they're doing with him is just being silly with this character rather than being stupid inherently in this film. Which annoys me because he should be taken seriously a bit more, but it's still. Sorry, everyone, for making them get into this tangent. Or, well, you're welcome from Ronald Griffin.
I know you're probably going, we're on an
Uh.
airport, planes use gas, but it's also worth noting that water is heavily used at airports as well,
Yes.
especially for cleaning surfaces.
I think water is heavily used in everywhere.
Well, yeah, obviously, but you need a water tank at
I
an
know,
airport as well.
I'm just joking, Jeb. Jeez.
No jokes, not here.
Damn it. But yeah, okay. So the conclusion is inconclusive, probably not the worst. So anyway, getting back to the video.
Doesn't mean it doesn't have a heart. The Ant-Man films are ultimately a story about parents and children.
I think I predicted it. I think I'm pulling a jab here. Oh man, I'm excited.
Scott and Cassie, Hank and Hope, Hope and Janet.
Fuck, I completely forgot that Janet existed. Fuck, until he mentioned Janet, I was just like, I thought Hank and Hope was the only other one he was gonna cite. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, I guess it is a story about those two. I mean, Hope wants to get her back, then she gets her back, and then they're happy together. I guess that's a story. From like the broadest definition of story, it's not a very interesting one. Thor: Love and Thunder does it better. TC, why would you say something so controversial yet so brave? Cinema mainstream people, we don't joke here. Exactly.
Before they're ever a story about regular-sized man becoming Ant-Man or Giant-Man.
Well, yeah.
Giant.
Obviously, it's like the powers are like secondary. It's just like the gimmick, but that's not what the story is. It's like you say, oh, Iron Man is the story about a billionaire who builds a suit and kills terrorists. It's like, which actually sounds more interesting than just someone shrinking and growing. But anyway, the story of that film is about Iron Man. It's about Tony Stark realizing the damage he's done to the world due to neglecting what his influence and his powers do to not his powers, but you know what I mean, like his influence and his money does around the world in terms of like bad things and how that's exploited. Like that's what the story is. It's like, obviously it's like the basic thing. Every story is going to be more than just the gimmick of something. Usually that's what you hope for.
They're about second chances, about looking out for the little guy. In a world of Captain Americas and Spider-Mans and Hulks, Scott...
Spider-Mans?
Wait, hang on.
Spider-Man
Sorry.
with an E.
Sorry. Looking out for the little guys, we had Ant-Man 1 that dealt with someone who was going to use pin particles for global reasons, as was working with Hydra. Ant-Man 2,
Yeah,
you know what?
he was going to sell the particles to, like, terrorist organizations that could destroy the world, basically. So he was to save the world, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ant-Man 2,
Ant-Man 2 doesn't have a story, Jeb. You cannot describe which plot is the main plot in that film. I challenge you to do it because I couldn't in my video. You'll see.
Ant-Man 2 is a film I remember nothing.
Yeah, the point of that film is to save Janet, despite that being like a 5-minute thing in the film. I guess because they help Ghost by the end, it could in some way be about looking out for the little guy. I think because like Quantumania is obviously about looking out for the little guy, helping, you know, everyone because you have the power to do so. And in the first film, we kind of have that idea with Scott after he gets out of being arrested, because he's like gets out of being arrested, gets out of jail, and he's like, and they talk about like why he was arrested. It's what they call the Vista job. They even reference it in Quantumania, but basically that there was like a big company and the CEO was like, you know, stealing people's money, and he got hacked into the company, and you know,
a Robin Hood situation.
Yeah, exactly. And so he gave people's money back to them, and that's kind of it. So he's looking out for the little guy. It's why he was arrested.
I'm also like, to me, if you go, you're looking out for the little guy, you're not focusing on a wider issue. So like heroes tend to focus on
the focusing on the little guy
country.
seems like the Spider-Man idea, right?
Yeah,
that is just like the friendly neighborhood thing, and I don't think Scott has ever been like a friendly neighborhood type from his 2 films. Nope. Like even in Civil War, he was involved to, you know, stop the killer assassins, as he calls it. It's not really just little guy.
Like, in terms of little guys, the closest we get is Homecoming, Hawkeye.
Miss Marvel from the 2 episodes I saw. Like episode 2, she
Um,
saves a woman or a child, I
until
think, falling from a church or something.
unt-
So,
until that becomes into dimensions bleeding into each other, yeah.
oh yay.
So Hawkeye and Homecoming, I would say, are definitely neighborhood
She-Hulk
things.
until the
Well,
finale.
that's She-Hulk isn't real. We don't count that.
That's true. That's true.
No She-Hulk. Does she look out for the neighborhood even? Like, genuinely?
Not really,
does
right?
she?
Because she works for a big ass company as a lawyer, so she's like looking out for not the little guy. She's looking out for like rich people who hiring the best lawyers instead of the little guy, the people that need it, which is what Matt Murdock usually does in his own show.
Yeah, like, she's not doing active superheroing. And also, like, the main threat is something that directly impacts her, not really others.
Who's
They're
the
not
main
going
threat in that film? Is that Hulk King?
Yeah.
Is that what it's supposed to be? Because the finale kind of made it seem like there is no main threat, but
The main threat was kind of that group that was going after her, trying to
oh
get
yeah,
her blood
the
and stuff.
intelligentsia people, yeah, the fake
Yeah.
Reddit. Jesus Christ!
You know what?
It's
No.
insane how She-Hulk goes. Oh yeah, the holiday special. That's true. TC. That's a little guy.
She-Hulk helped my little guy when she twerked. So you're all wrong.
I think
I
with
don't-
that we're ready to move on with this video. Let's just ignore what
I don't
Matt
count-
said.
I don't count the Netflix shows, by the way.
Oh yeah, we're counting MCU stuff. Yeah.
I would
No,
technically
because
count
like the point
Agents-
of a lot of the Netflix shows is looking out for the little guy, with Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Daredevil especially. Iron Fist is more of like a big personal thing and more relating to a big world threat. Those Defenders.
I mean,
But-
even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does the whole little guy miles better, like with dedicated scenes where they're focusing on civilians.
Yes. I mean, episode 1, it is about looking out for the little guy. We just learned that the little guy is not actually so little after all. You know what I mean? With Mike Peterson saving the scientist, but we don't know she's a scientist yet. We think she's just, a normal person who was trapped inside burning building. But it does talk a lot about like helping people, especially Sky in that episode. She's like, we have powers, and helping people is important, and she really
And-
looks up to Mike.
And even then, like, with Mike, with Coulson, Mike, obviously S.H.I.E.L.D. focused on globally, but Coulson's focus was on Ace having his dad still.
Hmm.
So, good rating.
Yeah. Yeah. They really do focus a lot on the little guy. I think season 5 does it as well with the. I don't want to spoil it to Madvocate, but you know what I mean.
The people.
The people, yes. You get what I mean. It's in the first half of the
Yes.
season. I don't mean the second half. So, yes.
The citizens.
Lang feels like the true people's hero, the most regular guy of them all. Which is why I had a lot of skepticism about Quantumania. I know, I can't believe I'm saying that as the massive Ant-Man fan I am, but believe me, I had reservations. I actually thought this movie looked terrible.
It is
And
terrible.
you were right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you going from, I think this film looks terrible, and then going, it is a stellar film? How have you made that?
Yeah, because it's
Transformation.
less interesting than the trailers even made it out to be, because it's excluding the Kang trying to manipulate Scott, which would actually like relate more to the idea of family. Because Quantumania just ignores any semblance of character. If it actually hadn't been re-edited, it could have actually been way more interesting.
You know what changed his mind? When he realized that everybody was saying it looks terrible, so he was like, you know what, this will be a hot take for a video if I say it's good. That's what changed his mind.
I don't, you know what, I don't agree. Yeah, I know you're probably just joking, but I don't think Griffin is motivated
am
by shit
joking.
like that. Yeah, Griffin seems like a very genuine person with his videos.
No,
His
I
takes are-
agree. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, his takes are way too weird for him to just be making it up as he goes along. For him to just like be like, oh yeah, I want to make something controversial. He is just
Yeah.
He's just weird, man. And you know what? At least he's authentic. At least he's not making shit up for views. He just does shit.
Yeah. He did say Top Gun Maverick was a masterpiece, so
Yeah. He has
he's
some
not all
good
about hot
takes. He has
takes.
some bad takes. It's
Yeah.
It is how it is.
Very concerned about the future of the Ant-Man movies, about getting my perfect trilogy of Ant-Man films.
Perfect
It wasn't going to happen, was it? You couldn't do what I wanted you to do. I did not think that going immediately back to the quantum realm with this character after the events of Endgame, of making the most bombastic adventure with Kang the Conqueror as a seemingly unstoppable foe, hell-bent on conquering every realm, of taking the foundation of Ant-Man and making it as big.
I imagine you put it in black and white so it doesn't get copyright fucked.
I
Maybe?
hope so.
Because it's
That
really
doesn't
weird.
work.
It's black and white and slow mo. So I don't know.
Oh, slow-mo maybe, but
Yeah.
I found that black and white doesn't work.
Really? That's interesting.
Andrew Tate will need to help you.
What? Okay. Anyway.
I
Possible
don't want to
was
know
a
what that
good
means.
idea.
Yeah.
And I hated the way that Peyton Reed talked about, well, you know, Ant-Man was the palate cleanser for post-Endgame.
Griffin hated that Beta Reed was
What?
being truthful. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you know this quote from Peyton Reed in Advocate where he said basically that Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp were just palate cleansers, and so he wanted to have like the big film this time. You know, the one that actually mattered to the story, that was big bombastic spectacle, rather than the palate cleanser with Quantumania.
That's what Peyton Reed said. That's what he
Yes.
wanted.
Yes, because he said,
Interesting.
yeah, that's why this film has Kang in it. And that's why it's not the idea that Paul Rudd pitched, which is way more interesting and grounded. I just find it funny because Peyton Reed is right. His films are the palate cleansers. Ant-Man came out after Age of Ultron, and Man of the Wasp came out after Infinity War. They're both so silly and forgettable and stupid. Like, and Griffin just sees them as like the peak of culture. It's so funny. Unstoppable gets beaten by Wasp. But no, you see, she had the little lasers on her wrists, so it's fine. It's not like Kang had his suit or something. It was destroyed by ants. Because, you know, having Kang lose to ants is definitely going to be something that'll make me take him seriously.
It was a Type 2 civilization set of ants through the time dilation, actually.
True, Jeb. So they're very
Kang-
strong. That's why he couldn't beat the ants. It's not like he could have teleported away. It's not like they're just
Kang-
running at him and he has a fucking force field where he could create a portal inside the force field and just get away.
I don't think you understand a Type 2 civilization here. They restricted all that due to their mere
Yes, they
existence.
turned off
Mm.
Kang's technology remotely.
They deployed an EMP.
Exactly. That makes
We just
sense.
didn't see it.
Yeah,
We
it was
have
off
to
screen
assume
because
they
we were
did.
focusing on Scott. But
You-
if you look in the background very closely, just to the bottom right of the shot, you can see that the ants are actually doing that. Yeah.
You know for
Yeah,
a
2
fact
pixels.
in that writer's room, they're like, okay, we want the ants to play a part, but we can't have just regular ants beat Kang. That's pathetic. How do we make Kang stay powerful? Type 2 civilization, which Kang could apparently never be somehow, although he would fit the bill given
Well,
what he could do.
well, Jab, did Kang spend 1,000,000 years in one day? He didn't, so you're wrong.
Wait, so it was very fortunate that the rat fucking, got Scott before Scott could do like a mega evolution of society, wasn't it?
Well, I don't even know how to describe it. Yeah, I'm just gonna agree. It's just because there's so many problems with Scott being able to get out after 5 years and it just being 5 hours for him. Because it just doesn't make any sense. Because at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, you could listen to Hope and Janet and Hank talking to him in the comm system, but that's just like impossible with time passes for him so much faster than it does for everybody else outside. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Sam Collins' chat. What is this? A high-tech Type 2 civilization for ants?
What were the arcs in Quantumania? So Hank learned.
Quantumania, because he can't type for shit.
Yeah, well, it's CC. It happens.
Hank
So,
became a
okay, Hank.
socialist.
Yes, his arc was socialism. Hope learned to fire her lasers. Cassie learned that she was right and she needed to help people. So her arc was that she had no arc.
Hope learned how to fire lasers.
Well, she fired her lasers at Kang, and that's what stopped him. So that's her big moment. Scott's arc is that he's a cunt for not helping people, despite the fact that he would help people if he was called upon.
Can I say MODOK's arc? Can I
No,
deliver
chill.
this?
MODOK has the best arc in the film. We'll talk about him last. Janet's arc is that she doesn't want to fuck Bill Murray anymore, but she did in the beginning of the film. So, boom. All the arcs. And
Now-
MODOK, obviously, he was a dick and he's not a dick anymore.
I will deliver MODOK much better than that. See, Darren Cross is a very complex and complicated character. He was abused as a child by his uncle, and that shaped him into trying to prove himself to be heard because he wasn't heard when he was abused. So he was in Hank's company and he was rising up through the ranks, and Hank went, "No, you cannot harness my particles. Your voice is silenced."
Your
And
voice is
Darren Cross didn't
silenced.
And Darren Cross got flashback to his uncle
Mm-hmm.
and he freaked out. He took the pin particles. He was like, "I want to distribute this around the world, but we call them the cross particles and we'll help all the sexual abuse victims." And Hank Pym wasn't having any of that.
Mhm.
And then came a giant war between Scott and Darren Cross. And Darren Cross could never convey his stuff because he didn't know Scott. He felt a brotherly sense, but you know,
That's fuck's sake. Okay, you know what, Jeff?
Sex-
This is way too long-winded. I get the joke.
No,
We're not even 3
no,
minutes
I'm
into
not-
this shit.
I'm
Please shut
not
the
done.
fuck up.
Shut up. But he couldn't open up about his sexual abuse. He was going to in the final fight, and then he got sent to the quantum realm, and he had to live all through those flashbacks, and it tainted him. It made him evil. And then Kang reminded him of his uncle, forced him to do horrible things. And then he saw Scott again, and he saw Cassie,
And
and he
Cassie.
remembered,
And Cassie
My
reminded
uncle-
him of himself when he was a kid.
yes, don't be your uncle's dick.
Don't
Don't
your
be the
uncle.
sexual abuser, MODOK.
Yes, that
Hell.
line was the actual line in the film. Yes, I don't
And
understand why
that-
you added the sexual abuse thing because a lot of what you said about his relationship with Hank is actually correct.
Because it's very complex.
Sure,
MODOK is a very complex.
he is a very
character.
complex character. They could have done so much with him though, with the fact that Hank was his mentor and Hope was his like basically his closest and only friend. And Scott ruined his life.
Yeah, he's in direct enemy with all of them,
Yeah.
basically.
Other than
Except for
Janet, yeah.
Janet, but
Yeah, and he tried to
Yeah.
kill Cassie when she was a kid. You could have had her had like some PTSD or something. It could have been really interesting, but they did
Oh.
nothing with him. It's so annoying.
yeah.
And that links to the sexual abuse. They both have PTSD of some form.
Fucking
Yes,
Christ.
that's how he gets.
I'm watching Cocaine Bear in a few hours. We can't do this all day.
I can't do this all day.
For some reason, Peyton Reed sounds like a Southern boy. Why the fuck did I just go into that voice? It doesn't matter. And now, well,
doesn't
we
really.
want to bring Ant-Man into the forefront. We want to give him an Avengers-level film. Ant-Man doesn't need that, man. Like,
I mean, I agree. I agree, but you still think the film is good, so I don't get it.
he never needed that. And so all that stuff coming at me just
He never needed that. That was his first film. What? Whatever.
kind of jaded me on the idea of Quantumania as a whole. It seemed way off from the simplistic charm, the ideas of family and redemption that those first two films gave me.
I'm trying to think who redeemed themselves in the second film. I guess Scott, because there's an arc that Hope has about like not trusting Scott and then learning to trust Scott, because at the end he goes help them, despite the fact that he's okay. Like he's okay, but he just goes there to help them. So I guess that's an arc. So I guess that's his redemption. Sure.
Which is why, if we're going to go to the quantum realm, I wanted it to be a small-scale, intimate adventure in a wacky environment, akin to that of Land of the Lost or a Saturday morning cartoon.
Broccoli man.
Broccoli Man.
I'm having PTSD now.
Broccoli Man.
Not Broccoli Man. I hate Broccoli Man with all my heart. Chat, you don't understand how much Broccoli Man annoyed me. Ghost and Goliath have redemptions. Oh yeah, well, not really. Because Ghost doesn't do anything to redeem herself. She's just saved. And then she's like, I'm too far gone. And Goliath is like, no, you're not. And the film
No, you're
ends.
not. And then she's like, yay, hug.
Yeah, and then they're not seen again after that. And like, Goliath is not really redeemed. He's just consistently a character who has morals, I guess. Like, oh, you're going too far if you go after Cassie. And then she goes and finds out stuff from Louise. And then that's it. And Goliath is still like willing to kill Janet to save Ghost at the end. He just doesn't because Hank gets to him first. So I don't think he really has a character, like a redemption arc.
Goliath's a character.
Of the
It's the Morpheus actor. What's his name?
Lawrence
Fishburne.
Fishburne.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
in Ant-Man and the
yeah.
Wasp. Remember? It's because he was Goliath
They
when he worked
compared
with
penis
Hank.
sizes, remember?
Yeah, it's amazing. That was the last part I added on my video. Was me getting annoyed at that joke.
or a Saturday morning cartoon, something that kept the core of the Ant-Man films intact. I was worried we'd be playing a game of world-ending Avengers-level stakes, as Peyton Reed and Kevin Feige had been saying, overt Phase 5 setup, that this wouldn't be its own movie, that it was only Chapter 1 of whatever the hell the next phase of the MCU is.
I think it's
That's
neither.
what it was.
No, I think it's neither. Because it doesn't set up anything new. It doesn't... This Kang isn't really, like, gonna be seen again. So it's not really episode 1. Like, this kind of feels like a tie-in comic type thing, you know, where you have, like, the prologue comic that doesn't... If you don't read, it really doesn't affect anything. Because it's just, like, setting the stage for a film. Which is just, like, all that's necessary is the mid-credits scene. That's the only scene that's actually relevant for the rest of the MCU. And on its own, it's not telling a story. It's just things happen, and at the end, nothing new has happened.
Where the fuck did this guy go? Like, this isn't world ending when Kang's trying to break free and conquer entire timelines and eradicate them.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess because the world's gonna end it anyway. Because if they stop him, Multiverse of War, they don't stop him, he destroys the world, so they're fucked it away. If you call MODOK as redemption on a couch, Ghost and Goliath. That's stupid though. Because MODOK, like, he sacrifices himself to stop Kang.
Yeah. MODOK
Yeah, Ghost
literally...
doesn't do anything.
Yeah, she just tries to kill Janet, and then Janet is like, "Don't worry, I'm gonna heal you," and then they do. It's like she doesn't do anything.
Don't get me wrong, it's the thinnest fucking shit ever, but he goes
He
from...
does have a redemption arc. It's just terrible. But Ghost,
Yeah, he goes
Ghost
from-
really doesn't.
He goes from this position to this position that's now good and claims himself as an Avenger.
Yeah, he goes from being a dick
And
to
then
stopping
tries
being a dick.
attacking the villain.
Yeah, and he does help,
Yeah.
I think, because he kind of breaks through the shield for a bit, and then the ants attack him. I
Yes.
think that happens. So, I think
Yeah.
he does help anyway, and he does sacrifice himself to help people, which is redemption.
And it would all be to the detriment of what made Ant-Man so special, especially since these
Ghost
movies
is
have
hot, I
largely
agree,
been
DC.
standalone.
Yes.
Stories that have existed within the MCU, well, not really being the stories that carry forth the interconnectivity, the setup, or whatever. And they worked because of that. So, you can imagine my delight when that wasn't the case.
Why does he do this thing where the text like keeps shaking in the middle of the screen? It's super annoying. It's
I
not
don't know.
centered and not moving.
It feels kind of silly on my part that I didn't have faith in what Peyton Reed was doing because the film loses none of what makes the first two entries work.
What?
Neither of
Wait,
the
what?
first two entries work, so I kind of agree. It doesn't really lose anything that makes them work, because they don't. But I guess the one thing that worked from the first two films was Cassie and Scott's, like, relationship, but the third film just kind of doesn't have them have a relationship. They're separated for most of the film. And then when they get back, it's like they hug, and it's like, oh, I'm happy. She's like, I'm happy too. And then that's it. It's just not any
That's
character.
all it needs to be. A feel-good, happy movie.
So true. I loved it when Scott hugged Cassie and was like, I'm hugging you. It's like, I feel like I'm hugging Godzilla, which doesn't make sense because they're both big. So it'd be like hugging a normal person. I don't get that joke. I really don't.
I mean, I've followed Reed this far and haven't been disappointed with his efforts. He always looked at the Ant-Man films as being an outlet to channel a lot of his ideas for a Fantastic Four film into. And
What?
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 Where's that from?
What? I have no idea what. What the fuck did he just say? I'm confused. Luis is the best part of both films.
We gotta
No,
roll it back.
he's terrible in Ant-Man and the Wasp DC. Yeah.
he always looked at the Ant-Man films as being an outlet to channel a lot of his ideas for a Fantastic Four film into. And Quantumania might be the most overt example. Seriously, just
I
What
mean,
the fuck?
I guess it has the Council of Kangs, which is a Fantastic Four thing, right, Jeb? It's with the Council of Reeds from the comics. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's a thing?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's because
The
Kang,
Council of
Kang,
Kang.
yeah, Kang is a Reed's like nemesis, basically.
Kang is one iteration is Nathaniel Richards, who is a descendant of Reed Richards.
Yeah, and he travels in time because of something, because he wants to conquer something, I guess. I'm just okay. I mean, sure. If you, it kind of has some Fantastic Four elements, I guess.
swap out Quantum Realm for Negative Zone and the Ant Fam for the Fantastic Fam, and boom, you got a cosmic Fantastic Four movie. I honestly blame the terrible marketing for why my expectations were at ground level.
What? But the marketing is. I mean, other than Kang lying, Marvel lying about Kang and Scott like working together, the way they work together. I don't really think there's anything like that was just like inaccurate about the marketing. It's just, I don't know. It just kind of seemed like they advertised the film as it is, which is just like a lot of terrible CGI and just a bunch of shit happening.
Kang is a Reed nemesis, TC.
Leaning more into Kang and Phase 5 setup with Ant-Man as an afterthought instead of selling us on a fun, wacky Ant-Man adventure. Just as Iron Man 3 reaffirmed what made Tony Stark Iron Man and
What? I don't get it. What did it reaffirm? That film is
that
bad.
he's a smart man because he made tech without needing his suit, I guess. That reaffirms that he's Iron Man.
Sure.
Right?
He can build a new Iron Man suit in a cave with a box of scraps or in a garage with a little kid. And that's reaffirming, I guess. I would need him to elaborate because I have no idea what he means by that. I also don't really know what he means in Civil War. Reaffirmed about Cap's character, because I kind of get it if he means in terms of like the Accords thing, because it would never go along with the Accords. But if he means of like him hiding something from Tony to protect his friend, I don't think that's reaffirming his character. It's just a development of his character of something that we didn't know.
It's probably the former then.
Yeah, the former makes sense.
Captain America Civil War did the same with Steve Rogers. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania reaffirms who our heroes are and their love for one another. I'm shocked to say...
What? Jenna loves her family so much that she didn't tell them that there was a dictator who could leave the quantum realm and kill all the worlds if he left.
That's true love right there.
That is true love. She didn't tell them anything about the quantum realm. Anything. In like 2 years.
Hope loved her family so much that she barely said anything.
Well, it's stupid because the point of her not telling them is because she had a choice of coming back to Hope, but she said no because she wanted to save, worlds. Which is just like, man, yeah, I can't tell Hope that. She'll hate me, because I saved a lot of people. Man. It's like that was the reason why I was trapped in the quantum realm in the first place.
But it really landed for me, and I feel very comfortable saying that Ant-Man is the most consistent and overall best trilogy in the MCU. I know.
Oh no.
Well,
Okay, hold on. What trilogies do we have?
Iron
Iron
Man.
Man,
Captain
Captain
America.
America. Guardians isn't a trilogy yet. Thor.
Spider-Man.
Thor's a
Spider-Man.
quadrilogy, but still, there are 3 films. Spider-Man.
No, there's only 3 films for Thor.
True. Dark World doesn't exist.
I'm just saying that to make TC mad.
Yeah. I know.
If we count the Avengers trilogy.
Oh yeah, Avengers has a trilogy.
Now which one would be best?
I'd say Iron Man, 'cause the first one's good, second one's mediocre, third one is shit. I think that's like the best quality we get, because with Cap, we have the first one good, second one bad, third one bad.
Wait, but is Griffin talking about consistent with the characters, like in terms of their characterization?
I
or
think
is
he just
talking
means
about
like they're
overall?
consistent in quality, which I was actually going to agree with, because I think the Ant-Man films are pretty consistent in quality. They're all shit, but then he said best, so no.
Inevitably when Guardians comes out, that's going to take the top spot.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
You know,
Even if the
Oh, yeah.
if the third film is bad, yeah, I think it'll have to be Iron Man. Thor, I wouldn't. Thor's probably kind of consistent, not the best though. It's definitely not the best. First one's like, bleh. Second one's shit. Third one's good.
also it's like 4 is 4 films. So
Well, yeah, same as Avengers, but you can still count the first 3 films. As
oh
a
yeah,
trilogy.
the Avengers. Yeah, the Avengers have 4. I keep forgetting it has 4 films.
So-
Yeah. Actually, I'd say 4 above Iron Man.
Why? Iron Man 1 is better than Ragnarok. Iron Man 2 definitely
I
better
prefer-
than the other Thor films other than
Dark
Ragnarok.
World.
And
Ragnarok
Iron Man
isn't
3
good.
sucks.
Why did Hela flood the city?
I don't remember that film. I just
You can't
remember
answer that,
thinking,
can
okay, I can't, I'm afraid. So yeah, that was the point. Iron Man. I mean, anyway, Ant-Man's probably the worst trilogy, I think. I definitely think it's that, or it's on par with Spider-Man trilogy. Though I think the first Ant-Man is worse than Homecoming, so yeah.
I know. Y'all ready to just, throw down, punch me in the face, light me on fire, all that stuff. But, I mean,
Why did you say punch me in the face and not put the clip of Thanos punching Captain Marvel? Why did you put the clip before that happens? That's stupid editing, Griffin. I know you don't edit your own videos, but still.
come on, you already know how I feel about MCU Spidey. And for those of you who don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of Captain America Civil War. That'll probably have to be addressed in a later video. Look, I'm not saying that Quantumania is perfect.
The look and then
Use the
just-
shot of the shitty acting by Cassie.
Yeah.
or even that it's like the greatest thing I've ever seen. It certainly isn't the cleanest film in the world, but I'm sad to see this film not land as well for so many other people. Again, not liking it, but damn, some of you guys are a bit too ruthless and hyperbolic.
No, I think
No,
I think this
it's
film
pretty
is just
fucking
shit.
shitty.
Yeah, it's not the worst MCU film. Multiverse of Madness obviously exists, so there's just no competing with Multiverse of Madness. But it is almost on that level.
Oh, we got Secret Wars yet. I don't know.
This shot always makes me think of Nando because of his theory that the quantum realm is related to Wenwu's rings
Oh yeah,
because they kind of look similar.
because they're rings and they have things written on them. It's the same. Really.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I remember that.
Speaking of Nando, I saw right before the stream he tweeted that Falcon and the Winter Soldier had a perfect villain until they redeemed him for some reason at the end. He's talking about Walker.
Talking about Walker, yeah, that
calling
was
him a
funny.
villain.
Yeah.
He was never a
Yeah.
villain. Like, the issue isn't redeeming him. He didn't need redeeming in the first place. He's just a good guy.
The issue is that he's not a villain. The issue with Nando's tweet.
Worst MCU film? Come on.
No, definitely not. Don't worry. Multiverse
No,
of
not quite.
Madness is the worst, and just above it by a little bit is Quantumania. So it's not the worst. Second worst.
Flash season 4 is worse than Multiverse of Madness.
Wouldn't agree.
I don't think I can agree. Multiverse of Madness is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
No.
Yes, it is. I'm trying to think if there's any other worse thing. I guess Endgame's probably on this level, but it probably has more consistent stuff than Quantumania.
Wait, are you all forgetting that Far From Home and No Way Home exist?
Oh yeah, No Way Home.
Far From Home's better than Quantumania.
Yeah, I
Multiverse of
think No Way
Madness.
Home has more good than Quantumania, even though it
Yes.
probably breaks the universe more.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's any film that competes. Obviously, Loki is the worst thing
Like,
ever made, and then there's Multiverse of Madness, but I don't think any other MCU stuff can compete with Quantumania. I guess She-Hulk is on the level of Quantumania.
so to put it this way, Quantumania, there's no scene like the two Peters consoling Peter, for example.
Yes. Yeah, the
Cassie
rooftop
talking to
scene.
MODOK. What the fuck are you talking
Yeah,
about, Joe?
so true.
So now that Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is here, now that we've gone this
Yeah, but
far
Morgan
in
was
the
in the-
layers of the quantum realm, stick with me for a bit, drink the ooze, and hopefully you'll be able to understand why I have
Man,
such
this was a long ass intro. It's been like 6 minutes and a half. He hasn't started the video.
Christ, yeah.
an affinity for this movie. But be careful, you don't want to
Oh my
spill
God, just
any of
start the
that
goddamn
ooze on your
fucking-
shoes, unless the shoes are the
Oh.
incredibly
Oh
waterproof
fuck, sponsor, here we go.
Oh,
Ah,
Skip it. I'm not
the
interested.
sponsor of
No, we're
today's
watching
video. On top of
Vessi.
being insanely stylish and
Vessi.
comfortable, Vessi provides the perfect shoe to protect my
They look
feet
terrible.
whenever I go
They
out and about.
don't
And
look
with
great,
new Vessi
yeah.
In your
Stormburst,
opinion.
I haven't felt more comfortable or
Griffin,
felt
you're
more
a sellout if
stylish
you
Whoa.
actually think these are
The
good.
Stormburst has
Remember when he was
all the
sponsored by
They have, like,
New?
spikes on the bottom.
From a winter boots, all in
Or
a
they just look
stylish
like it.
sneaker design. They are
They look like
100%
weird
waterproof,
slippers.
Not water resistant.
You look like a
waterproof,
weird slipper.
and keep you nice and warm. Using Dymatex, the
They look
Stormburst
like
is a
Sonic shoes, huh?
material
They do
that
actually,
keeps you
kinda.
How do you like me
warm
now?
in the cold,
No, they
but
don't.
also has
They
the
do.
amazing ability to keep you
No, they
cool
don't.
in the
They
winter
do.
months. Now I know
They
it's
don't.
not
They
trendy
do.
Need a red-
anymore and larger
red
Pez
color.
dispenser,
I'm the Sonic
but
fan
here.
it's a
I know
pretty
what
great
Sonic shoes
superpower
are.
If you ask me, I wear the Stormbursts all the time while walking around outside.
We skip ahead 10 minutes just for no reason.
Right on, so I can go as fast
We're
as I
just
want.
wait. It's
So what are you
almost
waiting
done.
for? Check out the Vessi Stormburst and other styles at Vessi.
And other styles other than that shot of.
Get your
Quantumania,
Vessi
that made
sneaker in a
sense.
size that best fits you and use code
Oh my
FILMFANCY
God! Stop with the
for
fucking
20%
thing moving. I hate it. Stop. Just center it. It's annoying me so much.
We could tell.
I'm gonna do that next time in my videos.
Madvika, I
Just to annoy
will.
you.
I will never talk to you again if you do that.
Juxtaposed by how still
Okay,
you make
good.
life feel in the face of a large
Sorry, I had the video lower the audio because of the ad and we're talking over it. I did not hear the point he was making.
of it all.
He just like he had such an upbeat fucking ad, and then I was like, he's doing the video essay voice. That was very very funny.
Off your entire order. That's code FilmSpeak for 15% off your entire order. And thank you so much to Vessi for
Can we watch
sponsoring
this again,
video.
please?
No.
Time. It's at this.
Look, that was so jarring. It's just like boom time.
If Sonic put the shoes on, would that make them Sonic shoes? No.
They would.
Let me give an example. Soap shoes are not called Sonic shoes. Sonic shoes are called Sonic shoes.
No, Sonic puts on shoes. They're Sonic's shoes.
No.
In the movie, he was literally given a pair of shoes by some random little girl, and they're now Sonic shoes.
Exactly.
Yes. But
Yeah, so
soap
we agree.
shoes are what Sonic has worn, but they're not Sonic shoes. He never worn them since. Well, Frontiers DLC, but never worn them since.
Well, Jab, I think you're wrong. You just don't know enough about Sonic.
Center of it all. The fleetingness of time, juxtaposed by
fleetingness
how
of time.
still it can make life feel in the face of a large absence.
Why are you using the clips of them being happy to showcase them being empty? What's
Because rich people have depression and suicidal
Yeah.
thoughts.
True. Hope's
I
hair has
know.
And
consistently
Black
gotten
Widow.
worse with each movie. I disagree. I think her hair in the second film is better than the first. I don't like the little bowl cut. It's ugly.
has
I think
always
she
Oh
should
been
yeah,
evolve.
what kind of take is that?
Yeah, but her hair is terrible in this film. So
theme in the Ant-Man movies. Scott was in prison before the first film and lost some of the earliest, most formative years of Cassie's life because of the snap right when he had mostly figured things
So
out.
much frame
Whoa,
there.
Scott
that-
then
Yeah.
I
That's
can't
what-
relate. It
yeah.
happens a lot, and with editing, it just happens. I should probably recheck before you publish, but I've had videos that I didn't
Mhm.
realize until way after I uploaded them that there was. So it's fine.
Sounds like a skill issue.
Somewhat.
lost even more years with her, her entire adolescence, years which were just as important. He struggles to relate to her properly because almost all of the time he's really known her has consisted of her as a little girl.
It's not really shown in Quantumania. I'm not gonna lie.
It's more the fact that she's a criminal.
I think there's a moment where he's like, where she says something about him not being in her life, but truly, this isn't really explored in Quantumania. I would like if that was an idea explored in a film about
But-
Scott having lost so much time with Cassie and still treating her like a child, but he doesn't really treat her like a child. He just treats her like, maybe don't get arrested. I don't know, just a thought. And then the film is like, wow, you're treating me like I'm still 10 or something. It's like, okay, I don't think that's the case actually.
That's just what this whole video is going to be, isn't it? Just he's going to explain things that the film should have done and be like, this is why the film's good.
Yeah, because it did these things that it didn't do.
Biden almost had cancer. Oh, whoa.
Are you okay, Joe?
He had a cancerous skin lesion removed last month.
Yeah.
Okay.
What this guy's
Good night.
talking about stuff that probably played a bigger role in this earlier drafts of the script. From what I've heard, stuff was written down in reshoots. Yep, it does seem like it. Probably was like the entire point of Paul Rudd's pitch for this film. But the Jeff Loveness script clearly is not that. So
When the reality Scott lives in is that his daughter is a young woman with ideas of her own about how to conduct her life, about justice, about what being a hero means. She's very idealistic, and her ideas of all of these things bear little influence from and can at times contrast with her father's ideas.
what? Did you not watch the film? The entire point is that she wants to be like her father. Did you just miss her entire character? What? He just said her ideas don't come from her father. Her ideas come 100% from her father. She even mentions the Vista job, being like, you inspired me because you helped the little guy. I want to help these people. Same way you did, like the Vista job. And in the second film, she even says that, I want to help people like you do.
Maybe he's only thinking about the parts where Cassie complains that Scott isn't doing enough.
Yeah, but he isn't doing enough now.
And then-
She's still inspired by his dad. Her dad.
No, I know. I'm trying to find where this strange idea might have rooted from.
Yeah. Yeah, he just... Griffin, did you just not watch the film?
Scott is also always feeling a bit guilty for not being around for Cassie. Scott finding a way to even out the work-life balance has been an integral element of his story throughout this trilogy.
It has not, no.
Uh,
No. The first film, he doesn't do that at all. He gets a job, he gets fired, and then he works for Hank.
Work-life
He has
balance.
nothing. He doesn't have to balance his life with work in that film. In the second film, he doesn't. I guess he owns the XCon company, and he kind of, and that kind of comes into play because just before they open, there's like an emergency. Which is why Louise calls him and he's like, well, come get me, Louise. I'm here at this place. Come meet me. And then Louise now knows where he is. So now Sonny Birch and Ghost can know where Scott, Hope, and Hank are. But like, I wouldn't really say he's trying to balance those out. Because he's dealing pretty well with his job despite being in house arrest and talking to Louise and dealing with all the company shit. It doesn't really take any time away from him and his family I think you're just making it up, Griffin. It's never been a thing about him having to balance all those things. That's a Spider-Man thing of being like overwhelmed. This is not an Ant-Man thing.
Yeah.
What wasn't mentioned in Ant-Man and the Wasp? TC? I mean the job thing? His misinterpreted version of the film seems to be the one he loves, not the actual version I saw. That seems to be the case for a lot of YouTubers that we've covered. They just kind of make something up to defend the film. Like, man, I love this one because it does this thing, and then it doesn't actually. Or Filmento, which is the opposite, where none of that is real, as he said, to criticize TASM 2. That was fun.
I was thinking about Ant-Man 1, but like this doesn't support his point, but like I thought like this could be the closest thing, was how Scott like calculated how long he needed to work and how much money he needed to get. Yeah. But it's like he won't have that life unless he works. It's not like he's trying to juggle both.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to
juggle both. He actually needs to do them to juggle them. He doesn't get a job. He's like, it's gonna take so long, so I'm gonna go back to being a criminal. And then he steals the Ant-Man suit, and then the rest of the film is him working for Hank. It's not like he has to, deal with that. Because he's a fugitive after that point, because he runs from prison. So it's not like he has even time to meet his family or something until at the end when he's forgiven for everything because the film wanted him to. It doesn't make sense, but job thing getting in the way of his family life. Oh yeah, no, it wasn't. It's not in either film. The second one is the closest we get because he actually has a job then, which is the XCon company, the security company he owns. But it's like he's still in house arrest and he's dealing with his daughter like all the time. It doesn't get in the way of his daughter. It gets in the way of maybe him being Ant-Man, but that's because he's stupid and he told Luis where he was. So.
Finding the time to be the dad he needs to be for Cassie, even when he doesn't have the time. And now maybe Scott is overcorrecting in that direction. In writing a book that chronicles the Avengers' battle with Thanos and telling his personal story, Scott's been looking at his work as a hero in the rearview mirror, which Cassie's become a bit critical of. She's reminded.
How is that the opposite of of him having to juggle his job and his personal life? What? Those don't relate at all. Did you just not know how to segue into the next topic, Griffin? I'm just okay.
Beats me.
Also, isn't Cassie pressuring Scott to work, not take time off? Yes, she is. I don't get it. I'm confused. Who's the green fox? Jab is the green. The Ben 10 Sonic.
Who the fucking called me a fox?
Sonic the Fox.
Bibek, do you not know what Sonic the Hedgehog mixed with Ben 10 looks like when you see it?
It's just green, and there's the Omnitrix logo on your chest.
Listen here, suit guy. I'll beat the shit out of you.
I'm gonna go take a nap. Griffin is a good answer for Insomnia. I mean, yeah, that's fair, TC. We'll see you later.
Reminding him that there are still a lot of injustices in the world and interrogates her father as to why he's still sitting on the sidelines.
Because Hope is already trying to say it's help people like that. Scott has done so much. Let the guy just chill. No, Jesus Christ.
He needs to do more.
You have to do better, Senator.
Scott is 80 years old, has dementia. No, like, Scott, why aren't you helping people?
Yeah. It's like, Hank, why aren't you putting on your Ant-Man suit? You should be helping people.
If he isn't working as hard as Mike Ehrmantraut, he's not doing enough.
True.
Why doesn't he have a suit at this point?
Well, yeah, because then they could have left the Quantum Realm as soon as they got down there. So that's why Janet and Hank don't have a suit. That's 100% the case. I'm certain that's why Janet and Hank didn't have a suit in this film, is because if they did, they could have just left the Quantum Realm immediately by using the embiggening disc, putting in the regulator, and leaving.
Yeah, because their original excuse was, oh, we found it to be unstable due to the Quantum Realm, but they figured that stuff out now.
Yeah.
She's out there rallying against the destruction of homeless encampments. Encampments, mind you, created by the Victory that Scott was a direct part of. And
yeah, please.
Oh, fuck you, Scott.
Yeah, fuck you for saving half the universe. But also, like, please. I need you, Griffin, to tell me that you notice the irony of Hope not saying anything in that scene. Which, her job now with PimTech is helping people get affordable housing. Please, Griffin, I believe in you.
Why?
Ant-Man
Why
is
wasn't Hope also using the technology for like Feast, for example? Because that's a thing.
Feast? Is that a thing?
Yeah, that was
In
it. Was
Spider-Man.
yeah, Spider-Man.
Is
Far
it?
From
Yeah.
Home. He
Isn't Far From Home? I
Peter
don't
said
remember
to
that.
the chat.
No Way Home.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
No, it
No,
was
Far From
also
Home.
in
Yeah,
Far
the
From
opening
Home.
scene. Yeah, where he's
Yeah.
like, "Are you gonna be the new Tony Stark or not?" Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Oh, well, fuck me then.
Yeah,
Well,
fuck you.
I'd
all.
rather not fuck you, man. Anyway.
Encampments, mind you, created by the Victory that Scott was a direct part of. And Ant-Man is just reading books to kids.
He's inspiring people via his win. What are you talking
Reads to children.
Oh,
Fuck this guy.
wait, also, yeah, like, reading books to children, how is that a bad thing? Isn't that, like, something that
Fuck
people
you,
usually
Scott.
say, like, when they're doing good things? Like, oh, they're reading books to children, you know? Like, there's sitcoms that make those jokes, like, oh, where's this person? A person who's usually, like, bad, and like, oh, you see, he went to read books to children or something. They don't want to pretend, like, they're good, you know?
Gosh darn it, reading books to them damn kids.
This is so... Oh, Griffin.
Griffin, why
Also-
are you making videos instead of going out to protest? You're just making videos
True.
for children, dude.
Use the ad money you made from this video, donate it to homeless shelters.
Also, like, Scott is also running a security company that helps keep people secure.
Yes, but they forgot that in this film. They kind of just ignored that it exists. So
Oh,
we see Wu, but we don't see Louise. Yeah, this film is amazing.
Wu could have done a magic trick on Kang to dupe him.
True. Misdirect. Remember how Scott avoided getting arrested by Wu because he left his suit? He being like huge to the side of a building and it somehow stood right up until it didn't. I don't understand how any of that worked. But
It's so funny that he's mad about the book reading scene because that's like one of the genuinely
okay,
good moments in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, he even has the little wink to the little kid when he says, "Look out for the little guy." I'm like, hey, that's fun. I like that.
At first,
It's kind of the kind of thing where like I actually kind of like this film a little until they get sucked into until they went to Hank's house. Because I'm like, hey, Cassie, you know, she has her values. Scott should probably be able to teach her more about like the nuances of that. Like you're establishing a lot of things and you just don't develop or pay them off at all in the rest of the film. It kind of makes it all pointless.
I was concerned that the film was going to just pay lip service to this idea, to reference Endgame, but also the real-life parallel of the homelessness crisis in San Francisco, and then immediately move on. But
It did.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, that is literally what happened.
It's not really brought up again.
How's the film?
Yeah. Okay.
to the film's credit, Cassie doesn't let this go. The subject is brought up again, and then they get stuck in the quantum realm and find out about what's going on with the revolutionaries there, and the people being displaced there, and how
Which is not what you were saying. It's not
That's-
homeless
that's a
people.
different thing.
Yeah, this is not homeless people in San Francisco, I'm afraid. I think you're just conflating two very different things.
Kang is oppressing them. Scott is hell-bent on getting home with Cassie and the others
Yes.
no matter what, turning a blind eye to people in desperate need of help. Cassie has to have a dialogue with him and reassert that he's Ant-Man. As I mentioned before, Scott has always been the people's hero across all
Funny that whoever edited used the visual of him being smart instead of using him him being silly. I've done that, editing videos and putting visuals that contradict the point the person is making just because I think the person who's making the points is dumb. But anyway.
all of his films.
Ooh.
Always fighting and looking out for the little
Exposed
guy with
yourself.
what little power, privilege, and platform he has. Now, as he struggles to find his next great adventure and purpose, he finds himself conflicted with duty and his own wants and desires. The film puts Scott's selflessness to the test. It asks, how far is Scott's selflessness, his uplifting of the little guy, willing to go?
What?
What's happening?
What's going on?
When he's called upon, he helps people. That's all that is, Griffin. There's nothing that deep. Something I don't. What? I'm confused. I'm very confused. Hello, everyone. I haven't seen this masterpiece and hopefully never will. MODOK has great cheeks, though. Well, at least you understand the value of the cheeks. But, like, okay, I'm trying to understand the point here. So, okay, so Griffin is saying that Scott, the film is trying to explore how selfless Scott really is. If by seeing if like he's put in a situation where people need help, he'll actually help them. But doesn't he just like help those people after Kang had his daughter? Like, isn't he doing it all to get his daughter back? I don't think he's doing it
Yes.
mostly to like help people.
Literally, it's when Cassie gets taken.
Yeah, that's why he fights him, because otherwise he would just wanted to do things and leave. It's why he goes to get the energy core, despite Cassie being like, "No, don't, Daddy," but he does still.
Wait, so what is Griffin saying? What is he saying?
He's saying that the film is
he's saying
being like, the film wants to question whether Scott will help people in need or he will like focus on himself. How selfless he actually is. That's like what his story is about, to see if he actually will help these people in need, the rebels, you know. And then the film kind of proves that he will, and he does by the end, which is just not true. Like they use the rebels to fight Kang. They don't really help the rebels; they use them. It's a tool.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was on the same page.
Yeah. This is the Superman is a bad person for not saving people 24/7 debate, but with none of the new ones. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Batman as well, with his money being like, hey, he doesn't use his money to help Gotham, which is untrue. He does. But you know, the lack of nuance with the conversation. I think Griffin was just willing to buy what the film was selling, which is that Scott is a bad person for not helping people every second of his living life.
If he transports to a completely other plane of existence, will he still retain that which makes him who he is?
Yes, he's the same person. Yes. If I travel to England, I will still be me.
Why would that matter?
Yeah. But if he travels somewhere else, will his character remain consistent? Truly a question for the ages. To be fair, Janet traveled to the quantum realm and she came back character assassinated, so maybe he's onto something.
Well, she spent 30 years there.
True. In those 30 years, she learned that she shouldn't tell her family about a huge danger that could destroy the entire world. That's her arc off screen.
That make him a good person and a hero. But Cassie's idealism is also put to the test by seeing what Kang has done to these people. It's an even worse situation than the homeless encampments in San Francisco. She's thrown into the middle of a war zone and she's forced to fight in the midst of it. She's essentially going through a similar trial by fire as Scott did in the first film.
What?
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 What's happening?
What is he? What? Her idealism is put to the test because she goes to a real war zone, but she doesn't even question like helping people. She's just like, no, we need to help these people, and she does. Like, she doesn't have an arc. She just does what she said she would do in the beginning of the film, which is help people. How is it put to the test? Put to the test if she like questions herself or something, like, oh, maybe we should leave. Maybe this is too much. Maybe I can't. You know, I don't have what it takes to fight these people. She's like, no, I'm gonna free the rebel lady.
No matter what.
Yeah, I'm gonna free the rebel lady, and then we'll see what happens from there.
I mean, her idealism could have been like literally helping people that were actually working for Kang and playing into his goals.
What do you mean?
So a way you would test it, the idealism in seeing good in everyone and having to help, is like, let's say she was helping some people that were actually on Kang's side the whole time.
Oh yeah, and she didn't know.
That forces her to consider who to help and who to not.
Yeah, that could have actually been a way to do that. Would have been a very different story, but yeah. Anyway, trial by fire like the first film. Let's see what he means, because I have no idea.
Scott's there to help her along the way, albeit reluctantly, but given what Scott's been through, he's not sure he wants to go through something like this again and risk losing more time with Cassie, or even worse, Cassie herself. Now, when it comes to the Pims and Van...
But how's that a trial by fire for Cassie? You just said why it is hard for Scott, but you were comparing it to the first film by saying it was hard for Cassie like it was hard for Scott in the first film. So that doesn't relate to Cassie. So is the trial by fire supposed to be Scott's? Okay, hold on, I'm gonna rewind.
Thrown into the middle of a war zone, and she's forced to fight in the midst of it. She's essentially going through a similar trial by fire as Scott did in the first film.
No, yeah, it is relating to Cassie. Then what?
Scott's there to help her along the way, albeit reluctantly, but given what Scott's been through, he's not sure he wants to go through something like this again and risk losing more time with Cassie, or even worse, Cassie herself.
Okay, but
now,
talk
when
about
it comes
Cassie.
to the Pims and Van...
Wait, what? You were making up what about Cassie? You didn't finish your point. What? Okay.
I think it's just because she's in a war zone. It's a stressful situation, just like how Scott was when Luis flooded the bathtub and he got...
Well, I thought the idea would be that
tossed around.
she doesn't really... She has to do like most of the work herself, like Scott did in the first film. And that was the trial by fire, which is not really true because he did train a lot with Hank and Hope. I don't know what he means. I have no idea. I genuinely... I guess it's just... It's stressful.
He's literally referencing... He's literally referring to the scene where he gets launched out of the bathtub
when he
and
gets
goes
small for
through
the first
a bunch of
time.
shit.
Yeah. If that's it, then Jesus Christ, is a terrible fucking...
It's just a very surface level comparison, I think, is what he's making.
Yeah, fuck.
That's life.
Yeah, that does seem to be what it is then. Fucking stupid. Maybe if MODOK were treated as more of a slave by Kang, Cassie helping him, thus spurring him to switch sides, it felt more earned, thus making his point make more sense. It could have, if we'd seen MODOK actually be a character. There's a moment where Kang is like, "Don't speak to me unless you're spoken to MODOK," and he like throws him at a wall. But that's kind of it.
Oh yeah.
It's not really developed on that. It's not really like any resentment that MODOK feels over Kang. It's just there's like 5 scenes missing between every scene in this film. That's what it is.
Dines, Hank and Janet seem to also be struggling to balance who they are now with who they were when they were Ant-Man and the Wasp. You get the feeling that Janet's missed a sense of normalcy, that she wants to live in the now instead of recounting the past 30 years in the...
You get the sense, yeah, because she explicitly says that. That's the dialogue in the film. She says that's what she wanted, to live in the present and not think of her past. She says that explicitly. So I guess you do get the feeling, sure. It doesn't make sense though. She would tell them about Kang. I just don't understand. She would, and like, it doesn't make any sense because she was very happy to talk about the Quantum Realm in the second film. I think everyone forgets because everyone forgets the second film. But when she's saved by Hank, she's like, wow. She talks about the Quantum Realm as if it's like this wonderful place where she learned so much from. Like, you know, she's full of wonder when she's talking about it. And she's happy to send Scott into the Quantum Realm in the post-credit scene to get the mid-credit scene to get the healing particles for Ghost, which she wouldn't be if she was so resistant about the Quantum Realm as she is in Quantumania. It's just entirely inconsistent. I really don't get it. Like she's happy.
2018. They didn't plan ahead.
They did not plan ahead. Yes, that is generally the.
If they wanted to end up with Kang, they did not plan ahead. Otherwise, they just shouldn't have touched Kang for this movie.
They should have done Paul Rudd's idea. I don't understand why they had to fucking do Kang. Just do MODOK and AIM. Fuck's sake.
The Quantum Realm. Obviously, she rails against the idea of communicating with the Quantum Realm because of the threat Kang poses, but she's also trying to bury her experiences down there. The reality is, of course, Janet can't move forward unless she addresses and comes to terms with the past. Burying it is only going to make things worse, as we saw with Hank and how he failed to cope with losing her. It's also interesting how Janet and Hank have similar issues with trust, sharing information, and needing to have their hands on the wheel.
Yeah, that's not Janet's character at all in the second film, but retconned in this one. Hank, I guess, like, he doesn't tell Hope about what happened to Janet until Ant-Man, like an hour into the film. So I guess that is Hank's character. He's not really like that in the second film, though, so I'm not entirely sure. I would get it if Janet thought she had somehow killed Kang 30 years ago, and that's the reason why she didn't mention anything about him. But the way it is in the final film, doesn't work at all. Yep. No, not 30 years ago, but yeah, I agree. If she thought she killed him before she left, then yes. That could have been an easy way to avoid that. Just be like, she didn't mention because it's part of her traumatic past or something, But you'd also have to make it less of a big deal for her character, considering, her dealing with Kang, because she's not like that in the second film.
It speaks to why they're so great for each other. They're like a hive mind with nothing but love, passion, and admiration for their work and each other. And what's also great about Hank in the beginning, and specifically his interactions with Cassie, is that he's clearly learned from his past mistakes of not sharing his insight and wisdom with those who seek it and already have an understanding of it. During the
What? Okay. How? Why? Why did he learn that? You can say that he did, and like, sure, like, he's okay with Hope using his technology, so he did. It's a fact. But why? In the first film, the entire point is that he needs to stop someone who has learned about his particle and who can use it for bad reasons. And in the second film, it has nothing to do about his technology being shared or something, or his knowledge. Actually, the fact that he shared his knowledge with Ghost's dad is why Ghost's dad had the accident, which got Ghost to getting her in the situation she is. So I think he would be even more hesitant to share his knowledge, unless the point is that he learned from the second film that him firing that guy was the issue because he had like conflicting ideas with his or something, and that's why it was an issue. You should have kept him there, kept him in the loop or something. He thinks it's his fault that he killed her dad, even though he says it wasn't, and he says that guy was a cunt, and he died because of his own failures. So it doesn't really make sense for Hank to do shit like this. He would be very hesitant. He would be very weary of doing shit like this without thinking about it truly. I think especially what he would be most trying to think of in terms of the quantum realm is how it relates to time travel, and trying to understand it more in that sense, rather than trying to like send signals to communicate down there. Though maybe, see, that's the thing that's kind of weird, because they're sending signals down in the quantum realm, right? But with the satellite thing, it sends signals, so it sends a signal back, so they can map out the quantum realm. But in Endgame, they already had ways to navigate through the quantum realm. They already knew what it was like. They already mapped it out, because that's how they used it to time travel, because space in the quantum realm relates to time. So I don't understand why they need to do this again if they already knew. And I don't understand why this signal was picked up by Kang, but not during Endgame. I don't know why Kang didn't realize, or MODOK, because he's the one that got the signal from Cassie in Quantumania. But anyway, I don't understand why he wouldn't have picked up those signals during Endgame, when there's like 12 people or something traveling through the quantum realm to get to travel in time. So yes, I forgot what my original point was. I think it's that these films are stupid. So
this is your brain on Legion.
I'm sorry. It's just so stupid the way everything in the MCU deals with the quantum realm. Nothing about it makes sense. It's just tiring. We're allowed to ask miscellaneous things in relation to this movie. You know what?
Never.
You are. You're allowed to ask anything you want. Can't guarantee we're gonna answer everything, but you can ask anything you want.
The snap, Cassie became obsessed with the quantum realm and tried learning everything she possibly could about it from Hank's research.
Yeah, I don't understand how she would do that. She was 10. I just don't get it. I just don't understand. I don't think that's a thing that would have happened with her. I don't think her character would have tried to learn about the quantum realm. I don't think she would have any concept of what the quantum realm is. I think she wouldn't have even heard the her dad talking about the quantum realm by that point, because he would have tried to like shield her from this shit, which is definitely a thing that he tries to do in the second film. He keeps telling her that he's trying to protect her from putting herself in danger, as she does, as she says she wants to be his partner. So yeah, I just don't buy it.
Clearly had a scientific mind and also a bit of her dad's electrical engineering brain.
Clearly had a scientific mind. Yeah, as
What?
established when she was just a normal kid. She never had a scientific mind. It was never established. In this film, she just turns out to be smart.
He had a scientific mind and also a bit of her dad's electrical engineering brain. Hence,
Brain. Yeah, she inherited his brain.
Electrical engineering brain.
I don't. It would have been so good if that was actually set up, though. If you'd seen them do something together, you know, him showing her something, you know, even when she was a kid, she was like 10 and Ant-Man and the Wasp 2. Just have, like, you know, Scott teaching her how to
Yeah.
fix things or something. But no, we see them playing,
Yeah,
and
and
the next scene, they just talk.
Yeah, instead of the box fort, the box maze, instead of that, do something related to his studies.
Wait, you could do both, right? You can have a montage maybe where you do like before you see him showing his daughter how to fix things. You know, doing something that he enjoys about like electrical engineering. You know, like something that actually relates to that passion and actually passing some knowledge down to Cassie. And Cassie loves her dad so much that it would be very easy to buy that she's invested in that kind of stuff.
I find it very, very weird that this film actually never addresses Cassie's fear of losing her dad, given she lost her dad for 5 years.
Well, she lost her dad. Well, it's super interesting because she loses her dad in Ant-Man and he comes back immediately. Then she loses her dad again in Ant-Man and the Wasp and came back after 5 years. It's just like she would have extreme like abandonment issues, I think.
Yeah.
I also would really love to know if Scott's mom was snapped. But we don't.
Scott's mum?
No. Cassie's mom, sorry.
Oh.
I would really like to know if
Oh,
Cassie's mom
yeah.
was snapped. Like, there's so many characters that I need to know if they were snapped to, like, be able to understand some characters. Because Cassie's relationship with her mom would be so different if only her dad had left for 5 years, but she still had her mom. If she didn't have her mom, she was on her own for 5 years, and she was 10. There's so...
Well, I'm guessing she wasn't, since she's still in the house. Like Scott knows where she lives when he goes to find her, and she's like in
Well,
there.
it just
So
means
it
she
is the
kept the
same
house. It doesn't really mean much. Half the world was destroyed. I don't think there are a lot of... Half the world died. I think there's a lot of people keeping track of, like, housing and shit.
I guess.
And did the stepdad get snapped even?
Yeah, Paxton. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? He's not even in this. No, he is in the second film. Yeah, he's there to make jokes about him being a police officer, and every time the mom's
And
like,
not
"You can't
understanding
do
magic."
that. You can't do that." And the mom being like to the FBI, and then Paxton's like, "They can actually," and that's like, I think 95% of his dialogue in the entire film. I don't even bother watching Ant-Man 2. Is it worth wasting my time? Look pretty garbage from the first glance. It is garbage. Just wait for my video and watch that.
Wow. Sell out.
Yes.
why she's been able to construct something like the quantum telescope. Many will probably ask, well, why did Hank just willingly help her develop something that could be potentially dangerous?
You can do a silly voice, but yes, that I would definitely ask that. I have many questions about it, actually.
But you have to remember, he was in the dark about Kang as much as the rest of us, and I think
Yeah, but that doesn't.
Okay.
He doesn't need to
on.
know about Kang to know that it could be dangerous. They're sending signals down to a place where they don't know, a place where Hope lived in for 30 years. He surely knows
Janet.
there has. Yes, Janet's hard. He surely knows there has. Hope and Janet, they're not characters. They're just, Van Dyne. Yeah, they're just. She lived there for 30 years. He knows there must be like some sort of food source or something for her to have been alive for all that time. So surely he understands that there's a risk that there could be someone else trapped inside the quantum realm or something in that same vein. That there probably is life down there. I mean, when he shrunk, he saw what are those called? Like those like microscopic thingies. I forgot the name.
Microbes.
No, they're they have a name. It's like, hold on, I'm gonna find it because I remember Neb made fun of me because I didn't know the name. Hold on. But yeah, either way, he knows that there is a life down there. It's just so stupid that he, I guess, assumes that there might not be, assumes that there's no danger, because as we all know,
No, Hank's a scientist. He absolutely knows there's a risk.
yeah, and
He would have done. He would have done a risk management plan.
yeah, they just don't do anything. Like they're just like, oh, lucky that Hope and Scott had their suits. I guess. You guys looking forward to Shazam too? I'm not probably not watching it, honestly.
No. Ever since they changed the suit to a shitty looking one, I was completely disinterested.
They had like
Not that the first one was good, but like it was a nice suit.
I think the oldest sister, she's hot, and Rachel Ziegler's
yeah.
hot. So maybe that's those two might be the only reason why I watched the film.
I don't think that's enough to save it for me. But
yeah, I think if I watch it,
each their own.
it'll be I watch it like once it releases on digital. I'm definitely not going to theaters to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The goo in Ant-Man is the goo in Ant-Man is a Native American ceremony. Turd and shrooms. I have no idea what that means, but you know what? I agree.
I think he was also learning from his past experiences with Darren and Hope that if he didn't let someone in, share his knowledge to make for a better outcome.
Yeah, the better outcome that he didn't know. He didn't know what outcome it was. He could have built hundreds of things, but it didn't have to be like a satellite sending signals to the quantum realm to map it out. They don't need to map out the quantum realm. It's already been mapped out in Endgame, but you know, anyway.
That movie didn't happen.
Endgame, yeah.
Left them out to dry with the knowledge they already had, they would go through with it and probably result in something far worse and catastrophic. Hank gets a really nice, understated through line across this trilogy, showing him come out of his shell to expand his willingness to be collaborative and share his knowledge with someone for the greater good. You also get the
Yeah, he's actually not done that in any film. But sure. It's just not his character. He just doesn't do that. I don't understand what he's saying. The first film, the entire point is keeping his Pym particle secret. He doesn't want it to be in the hands of Stark, of a Stark in the Civil War as well. They mentioned that, and in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Hank is like, please tell me you would destroy the suit, because he didn't want his technology to be shared with, like, you know, the FBI, the government or something. They didn't want them to get that technology. So he doesn't want to share his technology. And in the second film, there's nothing about sharing his technology. The first one, at least, they talk about it, but in a way where it's like, it's dangerous. I shouldn't be the only one having it. And in the third film, it's just like, no, actually, Hope is using the Pym particle everywhere. It's kind of, like, available for people to use. I don't really understand how, but it is. And now he just helps Cassie build like a machine without thinking of the consequences. It's like a polar opposite of his character.
Yeah, does Griffin think that Hank inviting Scott into his basement where all his tech is like the equivalent of like teaching him how the chemistry works and like, you know, directly giving him his blueprints and his notes on everything? Because like Darren like worked with him.
Yeah, and
that's completely different to just letting Scott use the suit.
Yeah, and he never told Darren anything about the Pym particle because he knew how dangerous it was, and the entire point is stopping Darren from creating the Yellow Jacket suit because of how dangerous it is. If that particle gets in anyone's hands, it's just Scott's just helping him in the first film. So he's not really letting him in all that much.
Yeah,
they're just partners, and they
absorb all this.
Yeah, it's
knowledge on the computers and shit instantly.
Yeah, it's a mutually beneficial agreement between the two in the first film, of them working together. It's not really about sharing his knowledge. Scott doesn't really know much about the Pym particle.
Yeah.
The only good CBM this year would be Guardians 3, don't you think?
And
Yeah.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah, that's coming out this year. Are there any comic book shows coming out this year? I don't think so. I mean, other than the 2 Marvel ones. But you know, those are going to be shit, so I'm not counting them. Yeah, I don't think so. So anyway.
The sense that he's looking at this time with Cassie as a second chance at raising hope as a kid. He's excited
What?
by Cassie being interested in the stuff he is and wants to share it with her. And clearly, Janet wasn't willing to share. Hope tried to break down that barrier, but Janet put up a brick wall in response. This immediately sets up Janet's conflict of wanting to have relationships with all of these people in her family, but it's difficult when she's unwilling to share and let them in. And ultimately, if Janet had just been forthcoming with what she had known about the quantum realm and the threat that lied within it, Cassie wouldn't have built something that allowed her to communicate with people in the quantum realm. It's Hank's failings from the first
stupid, isn't it?
Ant-Man all over again.
No. It's not really the same. Because I think, because in the first film, the idea of Hank is that he hid stuff from Darren because he thought Darren was too much like him. He was afraid of what he would do if he knew about the Pym particle. And he hid from Hope something to protect her. So I guess that's what he means. He hid Janet's death / going to the quantum realm from Hope to protect her, but that meant she turned against him and she helped vote him out of the company, which is how Darren became the CEO, which is why everything happened. In the same vein, Janet hid something from Hope to protect her, and that caused Cassie to create a device that put them in danger. So I guess it is similar, yes. It's kind of surface level similarities, but sure.
And this element of exploring family dynamics and the damning effect of secret keeping helps further tie the Ant-Man trilogy together. This is also a great parallel, ultimately, to what's happening with Scott and Cassie. Scott is following a Janet-like path of when she was down in the quantum realm wanting to return to her daughter and is willing to do whatever she has to, make deals with whoever she has to, Kang, in order to do so. But with the help of Cassie, Scott is able to understand...
Okay, I don't think he knows what he just said, because his wording made absolutely no sense. I'm going to rewind. He said that Cassie and Janet are in similar... Cassie is similar to how Janet was when she was in the quantum realm. That's just not... He's talking about Scott. He did not mean Cassie. Unless I misheard, he just used the wrong name and it confused me the fuck out of me.
From the first Ant-Man all over again. And this element of exploring family dynamics and the damning effect of secret keeping helps further tie the Ant-Man trilogy together. This is also a great parallel, ultimately, to what's happening with Scott and Cassie. Scott is following a Janet-like path.
Oh no, he said Scott. Okay, I was confused. I thought he meant Cassie. Okay. Anyway, I just misheard then.
When she was down in the quantum realm wanting to return to her daughter and is willing to do whatever she has to, make deals with whoever she has to, Kang.
Yeah, she wasn't, actually. That's like the entire thing. The one time she gets the possibility to go back to Hope, she doesn't. She wants to save the world. She thought Kang was a good guy. That's why she was helping him. When she learned he's a bad guy, immediately she stopped him. So you're just wrong. You're just wrong, Griffin.
In order to do so. But with the help of Cassie, Scott is able to understand that he can't run. He shouldn't run. He can't be selfish when people need a hero. It's Scott Lang's on...
Yeah, he doesn't do that. He stays to save Cassie. He doesn't really help the rebellion. That's not really his goal.
Redemption, and it's the Van Dyne families as well. It's arguably the most positive outlook undercurrent of ideas in any of the MCU's sub-franchises. But
What?
Look, the film is just fucking awesome, too.
What? Okay, He just moved on. I have no idea what he just said.
Okay.
Jeb, are you still alive? You've been quiet. Jeb probably fell asleep. Okay.
Scott is able to understand.
You okay, Madvican?
Yeah, just that if he fell asleep, that's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, but
Yeah.
it happens very commonly. So, Jab. Yep.
And that
Yep,
he
he's gone.
can't run. He shouldn't run. He can't be selfish when people need a hero. It's Scott Lang's ongoing redemption, and it's the Van Dyne families as well. It's arguably the most positive outlook undercurrent of ideas in any of the MCU's sub-franchises. But
Huh? When people need help, he should help them. That's like the most positive. Did you watch Eternals? The film that's all about how great humanity is. What? I think the green fox
I don't know.
went on.
But look, the film is just fucking awesome, too. I love the carrying over of the brisk pace from the previous two Ant-Man films and how quickly this thing moves, especially...
Oh, no. That was not awesome.
It was just Rise of Skywalker. It was just things happening. Just move on from scene to scene to scene, and you just no time to breathe. And you're like, okay, things are happening. I can't process any of it. It's not good.
with how quickly we get into the quantum realm and how the film still ramps up a gear beyond that. They establish where the characters are at, the stakes at play, and waste no time getting into the proceedings. The pace...
It's untrue. We have a very long-winded scene with Bill Murray and this bar, and I'm just walking around and seeing like alien people. How Hank is like, oh my god, a broccoli man.
What the fuck happened to Bill Murray? Did he die, or does he just never appear again?
He died, I think, because he's like, yo, arrest them, and then I don't remember if is he part of that fight scene? I don't remember him in that fight scene at all.
I thought I remembered the big like tentacle fucking monster thing slapping him into the ground or something.
Oh, maybe. I didn't remember it grabbing him, but maybe it did. Yeah, Jeb.
He just doesn't.
Jeb.
He just doesn't appear again. That's what I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, he doesn't appear again. I'm just trying to remember what actually happened to him as like an outcome.
Mixed with the wacky sci-fi elements really make this feel like a Saturday morning cartoon or even an 80s B-movie sometimes.
It does feel like a B-movie. I'll agree with that one. It does feel like a B-movie.
Funny joke.
Yes.
He put B-movie.
He put B-movie, not a B-movie. It's funny. It's clever. He died. The creature grabbed him. Okay, then that was that. Oh, that was fun.
Oh, okay.
Good use of Bill Murray.
Excellent.
And I mean that in a good way. The first two acts are exactly what I wanted from this film, and I'm honestly a bit surprised they gave that to us considering how Kang and Phase 5 kickoff-centric the marketing was. I just wanted the Ant Fam to go on a small, quirky adventure through the quantum realm.
And they didn't. So
that's not, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Ant-Man comics, something akin to Journey of the Center of the Earth, which there are also echoes of here, and break off into pairings in order to explore the relationship dynamics we discussed earlier. That's what I got. I have no complaints in that department, even though I know that's not necessarily what a lot of people wanted. From a world building...
No, what I wanted was a good film. I really don't care if the story was like a quirky adventure in the quantum realm. It can be quirky and it can still be good. The issue is how it's executed. The general idea is like whatever. Just I knew it was gonna be shit because it had Kang, but it didn't mean that it inherently had to be shit because it was involving Kang. That's the first thought they were gonna utilize Bill Murray like Jeff Goldblum and Ragnarok, but nope, they couldn't even do that. Yeah, it was just like he's here. He's evil now. He dies.
He fucked Hank's wife.
He did fuck Janet. Yeah, that was a scene. They don't even bring it up again after they talk about it in the ship. There's just no point. I don't get it. I don't get why the film does anything. There's just nothing is developed on. Just things happen and then we move on from them. It's kind of the same thing that happens in the second film. So
perspective, the quantum realm felt like an amalgamation of all the pieces of sci-fi and pop culture that Peyton Reed loves, and that inspired him.
it just kind of feels like they were throwing everything they had at the wall and see what
Whoa.
stuck.
What is this visual?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
You trying to get demonetized?
Got a lot of John Carter, some of the Star Wars prequels, when Hank, Hope, and Janet get to the building.
Yeah, I did feel very Star Wars-y. Very sequel-ish, but yeah.
Bar, Temple of Doom's Blood of the Kali with the ooze. There is literally even a direct verbatim line from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull when Hank goes, "None of them were you, baby." There's even some Tron legacy thrown in there with Kang building an army and trying to break out of the quantum realm, very akin to Clue trying to break out of the grid.
Yes. The person trying to leave somewhere is an idea that's taken directly from Tron. Like, there's no other film that's ever had that, where a person is trapped somewhere and they want to leave. No. No, sir.
Reed is hugging, probably suffocating those inspirations perhaps a bit too tight, as some of the homages aren't really homages as much as they are copy and pastes, but you can tell they're done with love, and they all still...
Can you? It just
How
felt
can you
like the
tell,
most...
though?
It just was the most cynical film. It's just things happening. Like, just things thrown in the background. Like, oh, it's the quantum realm supposed to be weird, so we're gonna have a bunch of stuff.
How can you tell that them ripping off Temple of Doom was done with love?
Because
It's just
he
it's
felt
just
warm
pouring
inside.
juice down the throat.
Griffin felt warm inside, okay? He felt a little tingle
Oh,
on his
okay.
balls. That's fun.
mostly work despite the obvious cribbing. It's his sci-fi love letter. And that's saying something considering the fact that Guardians of the Galaxy and the Thor films have really been...
Why did you have to put Thor films? At least Guardians of the Galaxy I get. Why did you just put Thor? Whatever.
you know, doing a lot of sci-fi stuff, but this...
Yes, this is a sci-fi franchise. What are you talking about? What? What?
to me, feels like proper science fiction, proper B-movie science fiction, whereas the other...
Stop calling it a B-movie. Why do you think that's a positive?
This is... Oh, fuck. This is...
I don't know.
I'm sorry, my brain broke because of he keeps calling it. He's like treating it. He's like, yeah, the movie is shitty, like a shitty old movie.
Yeah.
So it trying to be like a shitty old movie is good.
Mm-hmm. It's like talking about this as if it's like Malignant, which is like purposefully like doing a big budget like B-movie homage. But that film has a lot going for it beyond just like it having a B-movie vibe. It's actually like creative and well done.
Others, you know, the Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess, is more Star Wars-y.
It's definitely not. Shut up. It's not Star Wars at all. It has nothing to do with Star Wars. Just because you see spaceships
no,
in
it has
something doesn't make Star.
spaceships.
Oh my god! How do we say the same thing? How do we say the same thing?
That's where we disagree. Having spaceships automatically
makes Star Wars. So true.
Star Wars invented the spaceship.
Yes.
Star Wars was the blueprint.
Yes, George Lucas gains royalties every time a film uses spaceships. I guess Guardians of the Galaxy 1 at least has like the Zendarians fighting against Ronan, which is kind of like a rebellion, kinda? I mean, that's definitely pushing it, but that's like the most you get in terms of similarities to Star Wars.
And an extent, space opera, I guess that's a phrase. I hate using that. That's not really the right phrase. And the Taika Waititi Thor movie.
What is he saying? He's just saying things, man. I have no idea what point he's making. He's just saying words.
Movies are gross.
Oh yeah, he doesn't like the Taika Waititi film. Okay. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of what Ragnarok reminds me of. It's just very unique, I feel. Ragnarok, at least.
Gross is a weird way to describe them.
Well, he probably doesn't like them. So whatever. People have some interesting thoughts about the YTT films.
I mean, seriously, like, Quantumania does what Thor Ragnarok tried to do, but is better at it, which I know is
How?
going to
What?
sound like heresy to some people, but, like...
No, it just sounds stupid. Don't worry. There's no sacred code regarding this. It's just stupid.
It worked better for me. It was more consistent.
It was
really
more
wasn't.
consistent. It was more consistent. In what way was it more consistent than Ragnarok? Dear Lord. Did you hear what he said, Madvika? You were
It's
muted.
more consistent.
Yes. Quantumania is Ragnarok, but better, apparently.
Why didn't you just stop it? It worked for me.
Yeah. More consistent in what way?
Like, they weren't undercutting the tension with jokes.
They were! That's the entire film!
MODOKpiece.
Yeah!
Oh,
Did you not
fuck.
see MODOK's death? What? That's the entirety of Quantumania. It's them undercutting tense moments. What? Man. It's like that's what the people said Love and Thunder was. It's the same thing with Quantumania. It's just jokes constantly. It doesn't take itself seriously at any point.
Hank getting cucked. She's like, well, I had needs and it's been 30 years, and he's like, oh yeah, well I had needs too, and I did it with someone.
Yeah, I went out with
And then
a woman, but
Hope
then,
being the fucking adult, she's like, ew, you guys are talking about sex?
yeah. He's just making excuses. He sounds so desperate. It does. He seems very defensive over this film. Quantumania doesn't undermine itself with constant jokes. It's like it's definitely a take. Wow. Okay. Fucking hell. Like Hank survives his ship crashing because a bunch of ants show up.
Oh, yeah.
And then he fucking makes a socialism joke. It's just, this doesn't take itself seriously at all. King says, oh, how you can't beat me, you just talk to ants. And then a bunch of ants appear. Do you think that's not... Ooh, whatever. The film does not take itself seriously. Not one bit.
The jokes were just baked into the DNA of the film. I don't know, man.
Baked into... No, they're so forced. Remember the fucking Jello dude getting the hose and then sucking people into his hole, and then fucking William Jackson Harper being like, I didn't know he could do that, and then we cut away. That was not natural. That was just things happening.
I just had more fun.
How the fuck
watching
does
this than Ragnarok.
having a hole in your body equal I can now create a vacuum?
Well, Advocate, you know, it's the quantum realm. Random things can happen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Into the DNA of the film. I don't know, man. I just had more fun watching this than Ragnarok.
Having said that, I do have some thoughts.
As fun as it is to
Jeez.
be there, I do think they could have perhaps fleshed out the substance of the quantum realm a bit more. The detail and the realization of the world is fantastic, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
No.
Sure.
It's just random things being thrown everywhere. Just because it's weird
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's detailed.
I think I said this on one of our gaming streams, that like the creature design doesn't feel like it's a community, if you will, because it's just a whole bunch of random creature designs, like different species. None of them feel... I don't recall there being like any repeats per se, like same kind of species.
It seems like there's
Like Broccoli
hundreds
Man,
of
Jello
different
Man.
species living together.
Yeah, humans.
yeah.
Even.
You know, humanoids. They're not inherently humans, but yes, it just seems
Shut
like
up, they're humans.
it just seems like they just threw everything they had, as opposed to actually like, you know, maybe there's like a community of these beings that live together. It's like, oh, you had the rebellion. It's
Yeah.
like thousands of different species and their buildings are alive. Like, yeah, that's detailed, I guess, creative or something. I'm not sure, man. It's just things.
In the scope, too. This might be the MCU's best usage of the IMAX format to date, and you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't watch it in 5:4. Seriously beautiful.
Fuck off. Just fuck off.
Okay.
No, This film looks garbage. I'm glad I didn't watch it on IMAX.
Pay them more money for the bigger screen.
Mm-hmm. I think this was like, because usually when I go to watch Marvel films, a friend of mine pre-orders the ticket. The second they start selling them for this film, I was like, I'm just not going. If you want to go to IMAX, and I went to a regular theater where because I have a free ticket, 2 free tickets per month from the subscription thing I have, which is not free, but you get what I mean, to include the tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And I just used one, and I was like, thank God I did not imagine paying like $24 to watch Quantumania on IMAX. I would have killed myself if I actually had just wasted money on this film.
Oh, I want to state this for the record. I drove to a different city specifically to go to a cheaper theater to watch this. Because
Yes.
I was like, I'm not paying over $10 to see this.
Oh, I didn't leave my room.
What do you mean? Zod, obviously you went to theaters. You would never.
It sounds
No.
sus.
No, Zod has
I'm
never
not-
broken a law in his life.
My room is a theater.
Yes.
Stuff, and again, unexpected. But there's really no sense of geography or location. The places our
Yes.
heroes go to are just sort of random. There's no
Yes.
real naming or anything. They spent
I
so
mean, naming isn't necessary, but I kind of agree. It's just things. We just new location now. We need to spend too much time on one location. Let's go to another. That's just the film.
much time detailing the thing, and yet it still feels a bit hollow or
I like this chat. Movies Quantum Realm feels like a rejected planet from Gunn's Guardians movies, like a place they would just stop at and then leave after a single scene.
Well, it's interesting because Tin right next to that it's compared it to Nowhere from the Guardians films, which is it does feel very Nowhere.
Oh, yeah, that's
Remember the celestial
that was a
head?
planet, yeah.
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 Which is just like there's like a bunch of different species because it's just like a place where like people meet. So it's like a to sell things or kind of like a
Mhm.
black market kind of thing. Which is it definitely feels like that. It just feels like they got a bunch of different things and the different people would put them in the same place without like rhyme or reason. Whereas Nowhere kind of makes more sense.
No, I didn't go to another city for IMAX. I went to another city because I knew it has like the cheapest theater I know, and I paid for the least expensive ticket.
Yeah. Did the expenses with gas though? Did they make up for the price comparatively? Because maybe then it would have been worth.
I don't think so, but it's only like 20 minutes away. But but like that gas money isn't going to Marvel or Disney.
True.
That's the whole point.
or surface level. Like you're playing a third-person RPG and have only explored certain blotches of a much larger map. And from a purely VFX standpoint, yeah, the visual effects can be very inconsistent, and that's frustrating.
It's just Marvel. Do you expect anything else at this point? I don't know.
There are times where it's very obvious the actors are up against the volume or a green screen, and then there are other times where the visuals look fantastic.
Yeah, this is not the visual you want to use for looking fantastic. It just like look at the lighting here. It's all super blurry in the background as well. The details, you can definitely tell this is like CGI. Like it feels rubbery, which is the CGI feeling. Like this does not look good.
IMAX shots. The difference in quality from shot to shot.
That shot looked good. That was like the opening shot of the film. I like that one. Hold on. I want to rewind so I can show it to chat.
The IMAX shots. The difference in
here, this shot was the opening shot of the film. It looked good. I like the visuals in the background. Just like some nice composition. The CGI for those animals are not great, but this visual in itself is okay.
Quality from shot to shot is so irritating, and I do think that if the film overall looked consistently questionable or consistently beautiful, it would land better than looking like this, and then a few minutes later, like this.
I don't see any meaningful difference between those two shots. The one was like a shot of them walking, and there's like a green guy, and then now it's a shot like trying to be Avatar, but it you can tell how CGI everything is. I don't know, man. It looks consistently bad to me. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe it's just me. I honestly preferred how the Quantum Realm looked in Ant-Man 2 when Hank went to save Janet. More unique and way less of a Star Wars, Star Trek, Avatar ripoff. I agree somewhat, but also what it looked was just colors. There was just colors everywhere. It didn't have like a look. It kind of looked like it does in this film, but like way brighter. So instead of like this film that has like usually like some pink, blue, and purple things in the sky, more of a more darker shit like that had like some bright orange and yellow and those types of colors. But it's virtually the same. It's just random colors placed everywhere and not really any. Like, it doesn't feel like a real place. It always feels like they're standing on a green screen, because that's usually what it is. It kind of feels like the astral plane in Legion in episode 4, which has dodgy CGI, but it's kind of the point. It's supposed to look surreal. It's supposed to look like they're not there, because they're not really. It's inside their mind. It's a place inside their mind, so that's why.
You wouldn't have the tease of how great it
that green screen
can be if you had just simply given the VFX artists enough time, contrasted with moments where, oh boy, it looks like Spy Kids. I also think that because we're sort of on this ride in a new world with these characters, there's inherently going to be some exposition. That being said, there's entirely too much exposition.
I guess there's the moment where Janet exposits her history with Kang. Like, the film just pauses halfway through to be like, oh man, Kang, let me tell you about him now that we're already down here and we're all fucked. I agree there's a lot of exposition. I don't think it's more than other MCU films. It's just shit.
Too much telling and not enough showing, especially when they don't seem to be concerned with laying out any cohesive rules for the world, which I don't really mind because this is the quantum realm. It's literally based on nothing, no sense of physics or...
It doesn't need to be based on something.
Okay,
what
but
it
needs to be internally consistent.
Magic,
it's fine if it doesn't
magic
make sense scientifically.
But magic isn't based on anything either. Alright? Like,
do all the random bullshit you want, but like make fictional rules for it.
Yeah.
Don't just say anything goes.
Yeah, that was weird. I honestly prefer the look from the first Ant-Man. It looked like a realm where you could get lost forever. They're basically really nice visuals. The first one actually had visuals. It was based on it's really interesting because you can see like the parts that make up an atom as Scott is shrinking. It's really cool. So you can see like when he gets smaller, so you see quartz and shit, and the smallest bit he gets is a really interesting visual of string theory. So there's a lot of really interesting visuals, like based on real science, because he's getting smaller, and because he's gone subatomic, which is smaller than an atom. So then you see atoms around them, and you see things getting smaller, just smaller parts of an atom, and which are scientific recreations we've seen in real life, just translated into the visuals as he's shrinking around. I really like it as well. The first one had some creative ideas.
Whatever, and that's where a great deal of the fun comes from. Everything and anything can be what it wants, and there's a bit of randomness to it that you'd find in a Saturday morning cartoon. But
how many times are you going to say Saturday morning cartoon?
Every time.
Saturday morning cartoon, big movie. It's like the shitty things from the past. So we're chilling here. This fucking huge $1 billion company.
Yeah.
It's fine if it's the same quality as a Saturday morning cartoon. A shitty one at that, because he says it can be random like those.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a conflict already in progress here between Kang and the Revolutionaries, Janet and Kang, they need to spend a lot of time catching us up. That being said, for as many tones as the film pivots through, and it's quite a bit, I surprisingly think it does a solid job balancing them. It never felt too jarring.
Wow, really? The one word that I would use to describe this film is jarring. It's just so much going on, man. We go from like Hank being attacked by MODOK, basically almost dying, Hope and Scott being fucked and Janet being captured, to like ants and then socialism joke, and then they're like, oh, let's Cassie frees the revolutionary woman, and then there's like the joke of her with the transmissions she's gonna make, and then we go back to like it being serious because the rebels are rising up. It's just like constantly moving on from thing to thing. It's just so much. Yo, Clancy Brown is Maroney. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt, they just confirmed that Clancy Brown is gonna be Salvatore Maroney in the Penguin series.
Yo, I forgot Penguin series was gonna be a thing.
Yeah, they're gonna start shooting soon.
So, kudos to Peyton Reed and Jeff Loveness for that.
Kudos for Peyton Reed and Jeff Lopez. Said no one ever.
It also beautifully encapsulates the nonsensical randomness that Scott talks about in the bookended voiceovers of the film. His life doesn't make sense, and life in general doesn't always. Maybe doesn't even usually make sense.
Why? With the text on screen. We get the point. Just life doesn't make sense. That encapsulates both
It doesn't make
sentiments.
sense. Maybe it doesn't even usually make sense.
Whoa. I'm so tired of Griffin Bash. He's offending Quantumania.
How is there 10 minutes still?
I don't know. Hopefully it's another
For
ad,
God's
a
sake.
10-minute ad.
Even if you aren't a superhero, the tone of our life can pivot on a dime in reality, and I really like how they captured that in the film. Alright, let's get him out.
This isn't everything everywhere all at once. It isn't like the tone shifting because it has to. It's tone shifting because they don't know what they're doing, because most of this film was reshot and re-edited like the last week. Reshot like a month before. But yeah, they did reshoots in January. The film came out in February. It's amazing.
Here. I've name dropped him a few times, but I can't possibly bury the lead about Kang any longer. So let me put it simply. Jonathan Majors is one of the best things, if not the best thing, to ever happen to the MCU.
Can you please?
Holy shit.
Just not. He's a good actor.
God damn.
He's not good in Quantumania. I know people like his performance in Quantumania and say like, oh, it's the one good thing. I don't like it. I really don't. But he's not had anything to work with yet. How are people so captivated by him? It really confuses me. He doesn't have to show a lot of emotion. And in this film, when he does, it just feels so jarring because you're like, well, he's crying? Like, I guess he is? I don't know why he would be. It's just like, there's no rhyme or reason for why he's showing any of the emotions he is. Which might be more of an issue with the story than with the acting. But you get the point. So, I don't know.
You're telling me you didn't like the shot where he shoots two lasers out of his hands and he goes, "Bah!"
Oh yeah, it's great when he does the Sylvie. I don't. Ooh yeah, you didn't watch the rest of Loki, but there's the funny
Fuck
moment.
Loki.
But the funny moment where Sylvie like lashes out with her powers. She does a little yell. You know what I mean? If you don't, I'm gonna send the GIF right now.
Is that so? His yell in Quantumania is a throwback to Sylvie doing something similar.
Here, I sent the GIF on Discord. I don't think it's a throwback, but it reminded me of it, and it was very similar. Yeah, it's kind of
interesting.
You know what else reminds me of? Yesterday we watched Flash, and the final scene had Red Death do a little throw a little tantrum. That's what it reminded me of. That's what both instances remind me of. So yes, it's kind of the idea, at least in my head.
Majors is one of the best things, if not the best thing, to ever happen to the MCU. Right? Yeah. No, that feels right. We already knew that, though, because of Loki.
No.
I think this film...
We already... Sure. You had one episode where he was just spouting exposition and then he died. That's amazing. I mean, at least he's more fun in Loki than he's in Quantumania, but like... He hasn't had anything to work with yet. I don't know why people suck his dick so much in the MCU. You know, if you like him from other stuff like Creed 3, sure. But like not from the MCU, I don't get it.
Expands his character beautifully. Through Kang, the film tackles anti-authoritarianism. It doesn't just condemn the conquerors, it condemns the people who are complicit in the conqueror's actions, like Bill Murray's character.
No shit! If you're working for a dictator, you're gonna be called out on it in the film. That's like, how is this innovative? What are you talking about? What is the only? I'm trying to think. There's no way, because like I said, it's the only film you watch, and I was gonna cite a film where that doesn't happen and they just kill like the main guy. But that's not the case. Everything that has like a dictator, that has them like their cronies being like part of shit, and like them being called out by the film by their actions and be like, hey, you know, killing them as well. Like fucking Inglorious Bastards ends with them cutting Christopher Waltz's face off. What?
He was a friend of Janet's, a colleague, brother in arms, even a lover. Which, by the way, love the pro-sex messaging for older people. It's just great. Love.
Okay. I mean, yeah, so people.
Sex messaging.
Yeah, so people do have sex. This one broke new ground.
Oh my god.
It's so pro
serious.
sex that Hope even says, "You don't talk about that."
He can't be serious.
I mean, it's okay. Okay, I get what he means. The film is pro.
I'm not saying like, oh, the film actually isn't pro.
Yeah.
Old sex.
It just seems like so.
He says he loves that like they intentionally do that.
Yeah.
He thinks they intend.
It just kind of feels like a joke, right?
Yeah. It just felt like it was for the funny because they keep playing off of that for a little bit just to make the audience laugh. It never made me feel like, oh, this is like really touching that they're, you know,
yeah, she just said I had
taboo.
needs, and then Hank said I also had needs, and then Hope's like, shut up, and then
yeah, it wasn't really anything meaningful.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, you can't be serious, Griffin.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Someone who Janet thought to have beliefs and would continue the fight against Kang following her departure from the quantum realm. She, of course, was wrong. He claims he fought as long as he could, but we all know he just sold out to save his own skin.
Do we? Do we? We don't know his character. He sold out at some point. She's been gone a few years. It just makes sense. Because if he kept fighting, he probably would die, especially without Janet's help.
He's an example of the selfishness that tempts our heroes, looking out for oneself and their needs at the expense of others and their lives. Hearing firsthand what Kang did to the revolutionaries and their people who were just trying to fight to survive. A conqueror burned down their homes and stories, built an empire on the bones of their people.
Okay, he just said Bill Murray is selfish because he's looking out for himself. But then he says Kang killed all the rebels and burned them down and whatnot. I know it's selfish in theory to look out for yourself rather than helping people, but if he helped people, he would just die along with them, right? Like, surely, if you're gonna die anyway, if you're gonna die if you help these people and they're gonna die anyway, you can't fight against them. Like, his character isn't like the worst person for actually like joining Kang. What would have been interesting is if he was stayed alongside Kang later in the film, even though the tide was turning against Kang, because he was worried that if he turned against Kang and Kang won, he would be killed. But if when the rebels are rising up in the third act and he actually like helped the rebels, that would have shown that he's actually principled, he just wanted to live. Like, that would actually been exploring those topics in any meaningful way. Just because he turned from the good side to the bad one, that isn't really exploring or saying like, oh, you see, these people were complicit as well, they're bad. It's just there's a lack of nuance. These people aren't all inherently bad. There's a lot you can do with exploring characters like that, which I cited Inglorious Bastards earlier, but that does that as well. With Christopher Waltz's character turning at the end, he wants to turn to the the ally side because he can tell the tide is turning, and Hitler was dead already by then. I think he was when he talks to Brad Pitt.
Really paints a vivid and tragic picture of the culture lost in the wake of oppression. It invokes images of the age of colonization, making for an intimidating and ruthless build-up to Kang's reveal. You don't need to see him on screen for that long. His presence is felt even when he's not on screen, and the stranglehold he has over the quantum realm.
Not really. I guess he... No, I don't think so. I don't think this is correct, because we only feel his presence once the rebel is like, oh, Kang will come looking for you, like the leader rebel. But they spend like like 5 to 10 minutes being like just doing a bunch of silly jokes and having DUs shit and having Scott trying to like be like, no, don't execute me, like shit like that. This is just not, it's just not relating to Kang at all. Until she mentions Kang, it doesn't feel like we understand. It just feels like a civilization that exists within there. I don't think I agree.
I like the fact that Kang isn't just the next big baddie of the MCU. He has a personal relationship with Janet, so that helps make the stakes feel even more intimate. Kang's not...
I mean, Thanos had an intimate relationship with Nebula and Gamora. That was way more interesting than anything Kang has been shown to have. Loki even was Thor's brother. I don't know. Whatever.
Not only battling the Ant Fam and pushing his thumb
Ant
down
Fam.
on the inhabitants of the quantum realm, he's battling himself, the other variants. It's an interesting way to depict someone going through a bit of a crisis of identity, which nicely parallels...
He's not going through a crisis of identity. He knows who he is. What?
Yeah, he's quite comfortable with what he wants.
Yeah, he doesn't have any like internal conflict. He knows who he is and what he wants. He's just trying to get back to it, which he can't because he can't fix the energy core. That's it.
parallels with Scott. In the end, Scott is able to reaffirm who he is, and for as much as Kang believes himself to be a conqueror, I mean, he is, but he's still searching for something. He's a man of many identities, so he's not entirely able to have that affirmation of who he is.
What are you talking about? His entire presence in the film is him affirming who he is. He is the conqueror. You know, he's the guy who controls all these people, who's the leader, people can turn against him, otherwise they'll be killed. That's his identity. He doesn't have many identities. There are different Kangs in the multiverse, but there are infinite versions of any character. That doesn't mean that they lose any sense of their own identity. They are who they are.
Yeah, I want him to like reference a scene or a piece of dialogue that implies this.
Yeah, there's nothing. There's not any moment where he questions his identity in this film.
Has a chip on his shoulder because he was cast aside by the council, by his family.
It wasn't his family. He hated them. What? When did he ever like them? They were his family. They're just different versions of himself. Why are you making up something, Griffin? This is not in the film. Like, have I gone insane? What the fuck is happening?
I have one thing that was a little jarring about Kang, and it was how Jonathan Majors played him here. Don't get me wrong,
Yo, he
Majors
agrees with me.
is a scene stealer. He's menacing, a force of nature. I mean, when isn't he? But he feels a little bit like he's acting in an entirely different movie. I really like that Darren was MODOK, and it was a pretty creative...
What? Wait,
Shit.
did you just move on from the topic? I thought you were going to talk more about... You just said he feels like it's an entirely different movie. I needed you to, like,
I think
substantiate that
he's
point.
probably going to come back to it.
Let's see.
But I just realized he hasn't talked about MODOK at all.
He's gonna do it now. I think he's just trying to avoid it because it's hard to defend Quantumania when MODOK exists.
A little bit like he's acting in an entirely different movie. I really like that Darren was MODOK, and it was a pretty creative way of taking what happened to him at the end of the first Ant-Man and using it as a reckoning of Scott's legacy versus who he can be as Ant-Man in the future.
What?
What's going on?
I have no idea what he means.
Ant-Man's legacy.
His legacy is that he heard Darren, and he could hurt people, or he could be the good guy. Is that what he means?
I don't know.
Since when did Kang consider the other Kangs to be family? I don't know. He was always antagonistic. Like, from the story he tells about the other Kangs. He always hated them.
Oh, no. You see, he was lying when he said that. Much like how I keep getting told that Wong was lying about his training with Abomination or whatever.
Yes.
Or his training to become Sorcerer Supreme.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't being serious. He was just lying.
Yes.
So it wasn't inconsistent in She-Hulk.
That makes a lot of sense, honestly. Especially when his lie matches up with what Abomination told her, but yeah.
Since Scott destroyed Darren, their fates became intertwined, and Cassie was caught.
Their fates became intertwined. I... Man, okay.
I don't know.
He's
I'm just
Griffin
trying
watched a
to accept
completely
it and
different
moving on.
film than everyone else. He just he watched his own version of Quantumania. He should probably show it to people because it sounds interesting, to say the least.
And their fates became intertwined, and Cassie was caught in the middle of that as well. That night, two things happened. Scott became the hero his daughter always saw him as, inspiring her to go on and become one herself. But
Yes.
Scott simultaneously
You said in the beginning of the video that she wasn't inspired by her dad.
Oh fuck.
God damn it.
mutilated Darren, transforming him into MODOK. In a sense, MODOK
Yeah, no, that didn't happen then. That happened in Quantumania. That Peyton Reed did not know that was happening in 2015. He just didn't.
sort of becomes Cassie's first big antagonist.
What? Fucking kidding me? Her big
Cassie's
antagonist.
first big antagonist.
Sure. He's just like, I'm gonna get you, and then he doesn't. And then she kicks him, and then he's like, come fight me. And he's like, no, you're a dick. He's like, I don't know what else to be. And she's like, stop being a dick. And he's like, whoa. And then he dies. That is the big bad. That's like saying like, but it's like fucking. I try to think of a good comparison. It's like saying fucking MODOK is Cassie's Joker or some shit. It's just so stupid.
And it makes
No,
sense
I don't think he's saying that. He's just saying it's her first big bad of many to come.
Oh, okay. So it's like Batman's like Black Mask or something like that type. It maybe not Joker, but you know.
becomes Cassie's first big antagonist. And it makes sense since they were both forged as a result of the events in her bedroom that
Both forged. My God.
He's just saying words.
He thinks there's so much meaning behind this relationship between Darren and Cassie when none of it is in the film. There's not a droplet of any of that substance in the film. He's just making
The
up
final battle took place in her bedroom, and Darren died there, and Cassie was there to witness it, and they were both forged.
Yes, their fates were intertwined.
By that moment.
Man, okay. Their fates became intertwined.
night. He was the monster trying to kill her, and she was too young and helpless to stop him then. But she's not helpless anymore, and she's finally able to defeat the monster in her closet from all.
That's not.
But she was.
That's just
Yeah,
not. There's just not
nothing. No emotional meaning is explored behind that encounter from.
Yeah, King is like,
little...
kill Cassie, and he's like, okay, and then she's like, oh, to the rebel lady, like, oh, you run away, I'm gonna distract MODOK, and then she does, and then she becomes big and kicks him. That's it. They don't share like dialogue. There's nothing.
Fucking Griffin's saying, oh, she was too little to do anything against Darren when she was little, but now in Quantumania she can. But it's like Darren should have killed her like 3 times.
No, but
during his mission of trying to kill her.
But she's bigger than she was when she was a child, and that scared MODOK. He forgot that time can pass and people can age. So he was like, "What the fuck? You're big now." That scared him when he was gonna shoot her. You know, it just works.
All those years ago on her own. Instead of killing him as her father, I guess, quote unquote, did, she can inspire Darren to be better. He's a dick, and he doesn't have to be one. That's a choice he's making because he lacks a sense of identity. All he wants is the approval of someone.
Man, that editing is bad. But he wants the approval of Hank. It's not just someone. He wants to prove he's better than Hank because Hank rejected him. That's his character. And then in this film, he wants to kill. I cannot develop. I can't really develop on that. He just wants to kill.
Whether it's Hank or Kang, he doesn't know how to be independent. He's unable to be his own person until Cassie helps him.
You're not praising.
like-
You're not praising
what
his
is-
redemption arc. You're not, Griffin.
Why
I-
is Cassie's approval meaningful to him? Like, why does he care about Cassie's approval?
Because Scott was always a brother to him, and he felt really hurt
Fuck
when
off.
he killed him, and so
Oh
he
my
wanted
God.
he wanted to be Cassie's uncle, okay? But Scott didn't want that, and now she's like, "Don't worry, just don't be a dick, and you're my uncle." That's the film.
It's, Hank,
I really wanted
Hank
to
and
defend
Kang. Hank and Kang directly employ Darren. That's why he like looks up to them. Well, I don't know if he looks up to Kang, but because he
He
treats
just
him
works for
shittily, but-
Kang. Yeah, the issue is like they don't have his relationship with Kang explored. He just works for him. I don't know why he's
Yeah.
doing anything he's doing. He even says,
Okay.
"I don't know what I, I don't know how to do, not be a dick. I don't know what else to be," because he doesn't know who he is. How am I supposed to be interested in the characters that doesn't even know who they are? They're just doing things and they don't know
Okay.
why.
All right, scratch Kang off. He looked up to Hank because he was his mentor and an authority figure in his life, so that's why he wanted his approval. What is Cassie doing? What is she doing for? Why does he look up to Cassie?
You see,
Why does he
Cassie
give a shit?
calls Hank Grandpa, and and Darren Cross wanted Hank to be his grandpa, and so he's jealous. But when Cassie says, "Don't be a dick," he thinks maybe I can be Scott's brother and Hank can be my father. That's why he says, "You've always been a bother to me, Scott." It just works, Madvick. I don't know why you just didn't watch the film properly. I think because he's a huge fan of Ant-Man films, he's projecting all this deeper meaning into it than what the film itself actually showed on screen. Yeah, it does feel like it. He's just saying shit because he liked the film. It's like confirmation bias, basically. He liked the film, he's trying to figure out why, and he can't find any meaning behind why he liked it, so he's just pretending like this is in the film.
Griffin, you don't have to. You can just say you liked it. You can say
You could just say
can
it was
say
fun.
monk reptile brain really enjoyed it. I enjoy a lot of shitty films too.
Yeah.
But like, you know, that's where it ends. It was funny, or it was fun. It was entertaining, and therefore it's objectively good because Barry Allen taught me that.
Exactly. If it's entertaining, it's objective.
She sees someone in need, and instead of ignoring them, instead of turning a blind eye, she extends her hand. She's able to appeal to him and allow him to reclaim his identity for himself.
Yeah, his identity is that he is not a dick.
Uh.
That's identity. Okay. Ah.
I love that, the pause and then just silence.
Yeah. It's reminding me of Rango. This is a film about identity, about a character who doesn't know
Hello?
who they are. I think
Oh, fuck,
Madvika
did I-
died. Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, Madvika, can you hear us?
Oh, I can't hear you guys.
Yeah.
I thought you paused. I thought you were so done with him that you paused the video and then there was just complete silence.
No.
All right, I'm gonna leave.
Yeah. Alright, let's see if that fixed it. Hey,
Hello,
do you hear us now?
I hear you.
Yeah, I paused when I was actually talking, and you said, "I love the pause and then the silence," and I was a bit confused because I actually did make a point. But anyway,
The green wasn't lighting up on the icon, so I was like, oh no one's talking.
no, I was talking. But what I was gonna say is like this. He's mentioning identity and shit, and it reminds me of Rango, which is a film about identity and a character who doesn't know who they are and finding out their own identity by the end of the film, like basically gaining their own identity, and it's really well done. And he's just like, no, you see, MODOK gained his own identity at the end because he realized he's not a dick. So
Somehow.
his identity is that he's
MODOK gained his own identity.
yeah, his identity is that he's in a dick. That's an identity, I guess.
Oh whoa, that says so much about him.
Imagine defending MODOK's character arc in this film. Of all things to criticize about this film, that's the one that you do. That's the one you don't. Whatever.
Yeah. That's
I
the
think
danger
part of what I
zone.
love about this film is it's interrogating our characters about their character. Are they
What?
willing to make a change for the better, to become and embrace
Oh
who
my
they
God.
truly are, the best of themselves? Will they double down on what makes them a hero or a villain? It's a journey of self-discovery.
No, no. They don't discover anything. Scott wants to save his daughter. He does. Cassie wants to help people. She does. Hope loves Scott, and she remains loving Scott. Hope really isn't a character in this film. I cannot stress enough how little she has to work with in this film. Janet. I'm trying to think what her character does. She didn't want to come back to fight against Kang with her family, but then she does fight against Kang in the end. Though she's kind of forced into it. It's not like she wanted to. So it's not really forcing her to do anything. Because, like, yeah, the first thing she does is, like, I'm going to fix the portal and we're going to leave. She doesn't really even help the rebellion. So truly, she's just looking out for herself. So her character doesn't change. Hank learns that ants and socialism mix really well. And that's his arc. So that he was a capitalist before this film, and now he's a socialist. So I guess you could say he was challenged a bit. That's a joke, but it's like the only thing he has going for him in this film. So yeah.
Reaffirmation, uncovering identity. It's about how new environments and new challenges test your very character, and I really dug that here. Kang is the only one to see that time is broken, and he trusts no one else to fix it but himself. Kang only...
You just said he had a family of other Kangs. Unless you mean trusting himself means trusting the other Kangs as well? Which he wouldn't, but anyway.
I guess.
sees the big picture, the broad...
Okay, I just want to say this. If this video is a parody, well done, Griffin. Fucking hell, that's a great parody. Because the way you're defending this film is hilarious. If it isn't... Dear Lord, Griffin. Dear Lord.
strokes, missing the little things and people, ecosystems, which is the exact opposite of the ant fam. Hank's ants have been living in the quantum realm for decades and have built a...
Millions of years. Well, not decades. Are you insane? They said millions of... You think ants could become a class 2 civilization in decades? Have I lost my mind? What's happening? Decades. Decades. In decades, they managed to harness the power of the sun.
colony and prospered. Ants don't give up. They work together.
He's turning it into a positive message about ants. He thinks this is the Suicide Squad, where, say the power of rats and their importance to the world. But no, he's now talking about the ants. Ants never give up. That's a trait that everyone knows about ants. That's love my ants.
to accomplish things much bigger than themselves. Hank quotes
I mean, that at least makes sense with the first film. They made a point of that because they can carry like 5,000 times their weight. Which is funny because Hank actually says 50 times their weight in the first film, but anyway.
Scott's book saying there's always room to grow. Little guys working together like ants to become something more.
Like
Hank
ants.
uses the ants as an allegory and example to advocate for socialism, which is hilarious in the context of the film, but also, I mean, look, the man's spitting some truth there. And
He would never be a socialist. Fucking hell. He's a capitalist. he
Wait, is he not acknowledging that by saying it's funny in the context of the film?
No, well, he says... Well, I think he's not talking about in terms of Hank's character. He's just saying, yeah, and then he said he's spitting facts. It's like, whatever. Whatever you think about socialism, what he's saying is out of character. I don't think it's funny. I think it's infuriating that his character is being so stupid. This isn't a Bug's Life, Griffin.
in that moment, it's great, especially when he uses that ideology to combat the iron fist of Kang's one man.
He doesn't use an ideology. He uses an army. It's not an ideology. He just uses a bunch of ants and has you run at Kang. That's not an ideology. That's just telling your army to attack a foe. How's that an ideology? Griffin, what are you saying? I'm so lost. I don't think I've followed a single point Griffin has made today. I'm at a loss for words. I don't get it.
I think he needs to release like a director's commentary for his videos so he can just explain further what he's trying to say
Yes.
in the videos.
I think it would help a lot.
And rule his dictatorship. Kang can't
Dictatorship needed to be Taxlow's creed. I agree, yes.
take it, and when he's being overwhelmed by legions, he finds Scott and the Ant Fam's
Hey, Legion
inspiration
reference.
Ayo. Did you know that he interviewed Dan Stevens? Griffin interviewed Dan Stevens like a couple years ago. Who is the main actor of Legion, if you don't know the name.
Yeah.
And he asked him one question about Legion. Only one. That really annoyed me. And he
Damn.
put Legion in the title. It's stupid. Anyway, he likes Legion. Anyway, Griffin likes Legion, so you know he's not the worst person to ever live. He uses the ant colony. He helped to make super intelligent to beat up spacemen. Yeah, that's what he does. It's not really using an ideology. It's just whatever. Let me write it.
can't take it, and when he's being overwhelmed by legions, he finds Scott and the Ant Fam's inspiration from ants pathetic. You talk to ants, what are you going to do? You're insignificant.
Can you just not edit like this? I feel like I've had a stroke. But this can't even have an ideology beyond time is broken and need to conquer. I think the ideology he's talking about is in reference to the ants. I don't think he's talking about Kang's ideology, because yeah, he truly doesn't have one. He just wants to conquer shit. And he even said Kang doesn't even know who he is. He has an identity crisis, which is untrue, but based on his arguments, he couldn't say that Kang has an ideology, because if he did, he wouldn't have an identity crisis. He would know who he is and what he wants. But it's Griffin, so maybe he both can be true for him at the same time.
Ants are the voice of the little guy. Together,
Then why did you show Ant-Man and not ants? The editing is annoying me.
they're stronger than you can imagine. And as they take down Kang with a caravan of ants, the Ant Fam also inspired legions to carry the torch, continue the fight, and rebuild their world.
Yeah, the ants got there very late. I don't think the ants were the ones that inspired that more than the rebellion that was already rising. The ants just helped a lot because for some reason Kang decided not to teleport.
Scott is willing to sacrifice himself. He's willing to make sure that the ones he loves are safe, that the entire quantum realm is safe, because he always knows what the right thing to do is.
Wait, what is this in reference to? Is this to him fighting to keep Kang there? Because they just leave like 30 seconds later. And seemingly they knew it would happen, because when the portal opens, they're just like, well, let's go home. Like it's not surprising to them that the casting managed to open a portal. So I don't think he's truly sacrificing anything, despite the film wanting to make it out that way, because Kang is like, you could have just turned a blind eye. You could have just let me go and gotten your family back. But he gets his family back anyway, so I don't know. Insert the voice of the little guy. Oh my god, he really does think this is the Bugs life.
Kang says, you should have looked the other way. Scott retorts, never been good at that. I fucking love this exchange because it perfectly encapsulates who Scott is and who Kang is, and the power disparity between the two.
The power disparity? What? They're the same power level at that moment. I don't understand what you mean by that. I do agree it's in character for Scott not to turn a blind eye. But it's like he's just acting in character. It's not really anything meaningful. I'm trying to think of the first film if there was any moment he turned a blind eye, because I think it might have been. I guess when he said called the Avengers, but no, I just think it's easier than actually himself fighting Yellow Jacket.
Scott knows he's not more powerful than Kang, that he can't beat him, but he also knows that Kang only wants to run. He just has to destroy what he's after.
I don't have to win. We both just have to lose.
I also
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Scott doesn't lose though. I still don't get it. He just leaves. I don't understand how Cassie opens a portal. It makes no sense. She just does. The film just kind of decides that it's time to end. Can someone spoil for me what happens in the end? Does Kang lose? but actually doesn't. No, he does lose. He dies. King the Conqueror is dead. He's like sucked into the energy core that he was using to power the portal to get out. And then in the mid-credit scene, one of the kings in the Castle of Kings is like, "Welp, the Conqueror is dead. Can't confirm." Like he says, I wouldn't tell you he's dead if he wasn't. So unless they're doing a bait and switch, which makes no sense and would undermine the intelligence of the Kangs, I think the Conqueror is just dead. And Cassie just saves Scott and Hope, who like trapped themselves in the Quantum Realm to kill Kang, but then she just opens a portal 30 seconds later and they leave. So it's just nothing is achieved by this. So
I also love how Hope comes back for Scott, first in the probability storm and then in the final battle.
she didn't come back for Scott in the probability storm. She was the only one who had a suit and could get inside and shrink. It's like practical. It's not really a thing where I need to do this because I love Scott. And in the end, I guess it kind of is because she loves Scott. She's like, yeah, I guess she would do that. Though I don't like how close her and Scott are, despite their little development, because of their little development of their relationship. But alas, Medivka, what the fuck are those emotes that you're sending?
It's the new YouTube emojis that are really weird.
What the fuck are they supposed to be?
I don't know.
Oh
Abominations.
yeah, face, fuchsia, tongue out. Yeah, these are really weird. Face blue smiling. I'm gonna send this in chat. Here we
They're like Muppets.
go. Muppets. Yeah.
Battle in the way Hank couldn't, but wanted to for Janet. Again, making good.
He did. What do you mean he couldn't? He did. He saved her. In the last film. What? He did save Janet.
Wait, what did he just say?
He said that Hope came back to save Scott the same way Hank hoped he could do with Janet, but he couldn't. But he did. He came back to save Janet in the second film.
Griffin just said Hank did not save Janet.
Yes. Look.
Scott for.
Let me rewind a little bit more. Give you the whole context.
We both just have to lose.
I also love how Hope comes back for Scott, first in the probability storm and then in the final battle, in the way Hank couldn't, but wanted to for Janet.
See, I don't get it. He did. He saved Janet.
Is he just saying that from the first, like in reference just to the first film?
I guess. I think so. I mean, he took time to save Janet, but he did. Yeah.
Yeah, he succeeded in the end. So what is this point?
Yeah. Hesref in the King Dynasty, they pull some BS and say that the Conqueror was actually still alive and getting sucked into the engine just transformed him into something new. I'm facepalming hard. I feel like what they would do is just be like, the engine, because it was powering like a portal, it sent him to like a universe, like another universe, but it's not the Quantum Realm anymore, so now he's rebuilding his strength and then he's gonna like fight in King Dynasty, but I don't think so. I think he's just dead. Or at least I hope so. I really don't want them to bring him back.
Again, making good on that second chance, making things right the next go-around or next generation. As Scott closes out the film, who says life has to make sense? That's life. Makes things meaningful and exciting. It doesn't have to be painted in uniform. There doesn't have to be one clear path or timeline or variations, differences. The weird and wacky make life full of color and opportunity.
Did you say make life full of color using black and white footage? It's just the most. At least what you could do is turn the black and white filter off gradually when you say it has color. You know, because then the visuals accompany what you're saying. Also, like, yeah, life doesn't make sense. I agree. Life cannot make sense. That's part of the fun. I don't think the film earned that payoff. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once used that idea way better when it kind of like said that life doesn't make sense, which means that we make our own meaning out of life. And that's what's meaningful about life, is finding our own meaning. But that was like actually a film. Quantumania isn't. It's a product. So
makes things exciting. It allows for an adventure and for everyone to feel loved and as though there's meaning. Scott is advocating for freedom of expression, of paying attention to the little guys and the difference.
Freedom of expression? How is that ever a Scott thing? expression. That's not a thing that Scott cares about. What? Where do you take that from? I'm trying to think of anything at all that could probably make a case for that. I don't know. I don't know.
That make them unique and who they are. This is such a beautiful punctuation point on the Ant-Man story. What he represents and what he represents in the face of those who wish to conform society, forcibly bend it to their whims and shape it in their vision. I feel that people expected something different from this film.
I kind of got what I expected, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. My expectations were met. I'm trying to think, what would Peekaboo have expected that was different? Because people expected Kang to actually matter? Or for the character to have any character? But that's not what he's saying.
Did he just say that the Ant-Man trilogy is like... What did he say? He said Ant-Man is like the icon of what it means to like stand up to those who want to bend or change reality or society to the way they want it to be. Is he saying that's an Ant-Man exclusive?
Well, I don't know if he's saying it's an exclusive, but it is an Ant-Man thing.
Because it's like every villain though.
Yeah, it's like every hero wants to stop the villain from.
Yeah.
It's not really an Ant-Man thing. That was just not a thing in the first two films. Because Darren doesn't try to be a dictator or something and bend people to his will.
I mean, Thanos is literally, he wants to shape the universe and how he thinks.
Yeah, and Scott didn't really fight Thanos, not the Infinity War version. Scott never related to anything like this before. I think he thinks that because he's standing up for the little guy by fighting Kang, this has always been the case, that he's always fought like people like Kang, when that's just not the case. It's just another way for this film to explore Scott standing up for the little guy, but it's not the same that's happened before. He's like trying to find a through line, but he's looking in the wrong place, basically. Expected Kang to wipe them like a dystopian thing. I expected a movie. I was disappointed. I don't know. I expected Kang to be formidable, because if he'd actually won by the end and he hadn't managed to leave, that would help so much to establish his character as an actual threat. The fact he loses and to Scott, it's just like, okay, whatever.
Big quantum level face-off between Kang and Ant-Man, and yeah, there's some of that in there, but it's also a lot more intimate and character focused than I think a lot.
Character focused. This film is character focused. Yeah, for real, no cap.
For real, amen.
I've lost my will to live.
A lot of us realized. I think a lot of people were expecting that this film was going to be what the Avengers v Kang movies are surely going to deliver.
Oh man,
you just want it to be good.
I just want it to be a film.
Quantumania was about to come out. I thought we were getting that, and I wasn't looking forward to it. But instead, we got a truly worthy follow-up to the first two Ant-Man.
I still can't believe he likes the second film. Man, look at this fucking color grading. It's so gray and desaturated. I'm gonna shit on that so hard in my second video. You guys have no idea how much it annoys me. Because the first film actually feels like a film. Though. It's realistic that everything is fucking gray. Do you have depression, Madvika?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
There's a lot of smog in San Francisco.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, not sticking for long because I'm busy. Just want to say that I disagree with this video, but it required me to remember what happened in this pig slop of a flick. That's fair. Not remembering Quantumania.
We forgive you.
Yeah.
It's fine that you forgot it. I think it's for your own good.
I think Jeff Loveness forgot it after he wrote it. He watched the premiere with his fans. He was like, "Oh yeah, I did write that. That's cool." Oh. So they push Kang to the engine and kill them. So basically, like, Scott is fighting Kang hand to hand, and they're like close to the energy core. And Scott grabs a handful of discs, some to grow, some to shrink, and he pushes them into the energy core. And then it kind of blows up, and Kang, because he's close to it, he gets sucked into it. But Scott doesn't because the film needs to end. If they're expecting people to think any of those Kangs from the mid-credit scene are intimidating, they have another thing coming. Well, they tried to establish Kang to be intimidating twice already, and they have failed. But maybe in Loki Season 2 coming this year, it'll be great. I'm sure it'll be awesome.
Yay.
Whoa. Oh, Jesus. Okay, let's just end this goddamn video.
films, one which didn't lose the understanding of the ideas those first two films were exploring and expanded on them. I mean,
was the
some of
second
you
film
might think it's the
exploring?
worst MCU film to date, but for me,
What?
on its own, I think it's easily the post-Endgame MCU film to champion thus far.
Eternals.
Jesus Christ.
Eternals literally exist. You cannot. No, this is not better than Eternals. It's just not. He doesn't like Eternals, though, Twitter.
Scott has always been the people's hero, and he remains so
Just kind of.
even in another realm.
I mean, so even he finished the video with that stupid point that if he goes to another realm, he's still the same guy. That's well, it's definitely a good way to end your video. The stupidest point. Fucking hell, that was so bad, guys. That was so bad. I'm just we did it though. We got through it. I'm proud of us. Jab didn't get through it, but
Yay.
you know,
Yeah, because he's cringe.
he is cringe. Great.
Imagine not wanting to sit through the entirety of a film speak video.
Oh man, I can't. You know, this reminds me because you said entirety. I remember one of his longest videos. This is a Casino Royale one. This is a point he makes. It's like the beginning of like a point he's gonna make about the film, and he starts it by asking, "Who is Casino Royale?" And I couldn't stop laughing when I first watched that. I lost my shit.
What?
Yeah, it says the
What?
question is who is Casino Royale? Then he starts talking about Matt Mikkelsen's character.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's Griffin, man. He's on another plane of being. He's just on another
I
level.
think we're just not evolved enough to be able to understand.
He's evolved like the
complexity of
ants.
his
He's a class
intellect.
2 being. We're just stuck behind.
Yeah, in 1,000 years, we'll finally be, or I guess society will finally be able to understand his videos and
Exactly.
agree upon them.
Yeah. Kang can use his powers near the engine. I mean, it sounds like his powers are inconsistent. I'd have to fight Scott hand to hand. So basically, I think the point the film is making is that his suit was damaged by the ants attacking him, and so he doesn't have his powers at that moment. Because he truly doesn't use his powers against Scott in that entire scene. So he just doesn't have his powers, is what I assume. It's kind of stupid, though. Because the ants destroyed his suit, I guess. And he somehow got out without his suit, but he didn't manage to win against Scott. Like, if those ants attacking him, if there are a bunch of them, if he doesn't have his powers anymore, I have no idea how he would have been able to get out. But he does. He can't beat Scott, but he can't beat, like, thousands of ants running at him without any powers. Ants that are very much, what's the name? Stronger than him, because they're bigger than everyone else, because they hit a time dilation, and so they didn't finish shrinking. Because that makes sense, because it's the MCU. As you can tell, this film follows logic very well. It's just woo, cause and effect up the ass. It's great. Who is Skyfall? Who is Quantum of Solace? Yeah. He likes Quantum of Solace, actually. I thought that was interesting. He's a huge Bond fan. His Bond videos are interesting.
Oh fuck, that's right. Because the very first video I saw of his was his Black Widow one, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
the first, how long was it? If it was like 20 minutes, it was half of it.
Oh
10
yeah,
minutes
he
was
just said it was
him.
like a Bond film in the MCU. There's like half of the point he was making for the entire video.
Half of the entire video was just him praising Bond and like
Being like,
how
Black
it's
Widow
so
does the
great.
same.
And-
Yeah, it's a 15-minute
Yeah.
video, yeah. Yeah, Black Widow was one of the best MCU movies, he said. Which I guess implies that he thinks Quantumania is also one of the best MCU movies, because he just said it's better than Black Widow in this video. He said because it said post-Endgame, Quantumania is the best, so
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea what Griffin thinks. He's a weird person. He thinks Dark Knight Rises is the best of the trilogy. So, not only best of the trilogy, he thinks it's the best Batman film, even better than the Bat.
Fuck. Fuck.
That's Griffin, man. I don't.
Hey.
But anyway, I think we're gonna end it here, guys. I think we survived. 3 out of 4 of us, at least, which is good enough. And yeah, I don't know what to say. I always forget how I end streams and videos every time I need to end them. The flash reactions, I'm always confused about what to say at the end. So,
you just wish everyone a good night. You send everyone a virtual good night kiss.
All right, so
and tucking
everyone
them into bed.
I hope you have a good night. A big good night kiss now, mwah. And I'm virtually tucking you in now. Imagine me tucking you in, like putting a blanket over your monitor. That's me virtually tucking you in.
And now you have to wish Shandy a good morning because it's morning.
Yes, it is morning. Good morning for you, Shandy. You have a good rest of your day, okay? And let's see. Ant-Man and the Wasp video probably coming in a week or 2. I don't actually know. I just need to finish editing it, but I have like a third of it done already. So yeah, it's gonna be a long one because the film sucks. Flash reactions gonna skip this week. No reaction tomorrow, but they will be back next week on Saturday again. Just taking a week off, and is that it? I think that is it. Madvocate, obviously your Flash season 4 video is coming out in an hour, right? That was the plan. That's the laughter that indicates yes. So stay tuned for Madvocate's channel. This video would be out at any moment. But yeah, I think that's it. I think we'll leave now. Oh, someone's asking about your videos. See, I just told y'all about his videos. Don't worry about it. Don't need any more updates.
Okay, well, in all seriousness, I just reached the 1 hour and 5 minute mark in terms of having all the clips and my voice recordings, cut and lined up together. Yeah, and this is just finishing. Yeah, it was just finishing episode 10, I'm pretty sure, so we're not even halfway there.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long ass video. Season 4 is a masterpiece.
Was it 10? Hold on.
Wasn't it 9?
It's gonna bug me 9. No, I 9. I just had like a minute left to wrap it up. Let me see. It'll tell me right here. I have it open.
Right.
Hold on. Something will indicate. Oh, no, it's episode 11.
Oh, still not even halfway through, but
still not halfway there.
Almost though. Oh,
but yeah.
Right. So coming when it comes.
Yep.
Yeah. You can watch what is done so far if you subscribe to Madvocate's Patreon though. So, just wink.
True, for real.
Amen. All right, chat. I think that's it. Yeah. I think we're done now. I think we're gonna leave now. I don't know if Zod has anything to say. You're working on a video still. I don't know if there's anything you want to update about that.
Yeah, no, still going quite slowly on that.
Yeah.
Taking forever.
I don't know why. That film's amazing. Anyway, guys, we're gonna leave now. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.